Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and I am joined, as always, he's matching our new colour scheme. Matt's here.
Yeah, hope burns bright. More on that later.
Yeah, you're wearing red though, so you're more of a rage guy.
Well, that's my natural setting. Like I have to work
Okay.
to get to the others. Yeah, it takes a lot of will, a lot of hope.
Oh, good. Basically, the rest of the core just to overcome the red part of your system.
You have no idea.
Speaking of how awful red is, Connor's also here.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
But mine's by choice. This is, by bad lottery of genetics.
Well, yeah.
I love the idea that this is the first episode, right? And they're not watching the video, they're listening to the audio, so they have no idea that Connor has ginger hair, and they're just confused as to why we're making all these red
I
jokes.
think they know. They just know.
They can just sense it.
You just get it, yeah.
Yeah, there's a disruption in the
Okay.
speed force. It goes through their, headphones. They just know.
Cool. And you're back just in time, because I believe we have a Connor's Corner coming this episode.
Yes, we do.
Connor, our good folk over at Patreon who donate and help us out and support the podcast. One person in particular makes Connor read a book of their choosing, and they know he doesn't like Redhood, so Redhood number 9 is what's getting read by him today. But that's not all that's getting discussed today, because we are going to be talking about Batman number 28, Superman number 28, Green Arrow number 28, Green Lanterns number 28. A lot of 28. I should separate them out just so that when I'm reading the list at the start, I'm not just saying the same number 4 times in a row.
If there was a way to verbally show brackets, like, when you're writing them down, you just make the bracket and then put 28 next to it, denotes that they're all 28. Like, that'd be nice.
Well, you just go Batman, Superman, Green Arrow, and Green Lanterns, 28.
You can do that too.
Nightwing 26, Deathstroke 22, and for some reason Matt decided to jump on Bryan Hitch's last arc on Justice League, so Justice League 26 will be discussed by him and him alone.
Yeah. I should have known better, but I didn't.
Also, we got the first of the Jack Kirby specials this week. New Gods number 1, which is a one-shot. So we all had a look at that, so we'll be talking about that as well. Plus, Connor checked out a Harley Quinn and Batman number 1, which is a digital first. So I assume that's just a third of a regular book size, like there usually are.
Yeah, I mean, it felt a little bit longer. I think maybe it's half because it's bi-monthly instead of
fair enough.
Weekly.
But that's one of the ones they put out digital, and then they sort of combine like 2 or 3 of them into a physical book for later. So, and this is building up to the new animated film they've got coming out. So, Connor's going to talk about that, and then of course finally we do have the Connor's Corner segment of the show to close off, which is the Red Hood and the Outlaws number 9. So that is what's coming up on this week's show. Now, there's no real news to discuss. Other than Hitch dropped that he's leaving Justice League. He confirmed that he's off that book at the end of this current arc that he's just started. So we can maybe, I don't know, do you want to speculate perhaps who the new Justice League writer might be come November?
Well, it doesn't really matter because it can't be any worse.
Right? I'm hoping it's Seeley, because Seeley had those pop-up issues for
But he's busy.
Matt, he's doing 2 issues of Nightwing a month, and he's starting doing 2 issues of Green Lanterns a month starting in October.
Oh yeah, he is doing Green Lanterns. I forgot.
Which is why I think that Sam Humphries might actually be a candidate.
It's possible.
Yeah, he's got a team dynamic down. We've enjoyed Jess and Simon and
because I was talking about this on Twitter this week, and when Sam Humphries was brought up, I thought, you know what, that actually works out really well for 2 reasons. One, he gets to still write Simon and Jess because they're on the team. And secondly, some of the stuff that he maybe set up in this week's issue of Green Lanterns, maybe he could explore that with Superman and Justice League down the line. So I can see some reason for it. It could also be someone who's not even working at DC right now. It could be someone completely out of left field. Who knows?
Yeah.
So but that'd be my best guess at this point. But I mean, it could be anyone. So that's pretty cool. Now, we did talk a lot about the movies last week. Don't worry, all that was out of our system. However, we talked a lot about what the reshoots meant for the DC movies last week, but somehow me and Matt forgot to actually talk about the biggest thing of the whole affair, and that is the mustache.
Yeah.
I can't
Shame
believe
on you guys.
we forgot to talk about the
Super
goddamn
stash.
mustache last week. If you hadn't heard, and who hasn't heard this by now, but basically Henry Cavill is shooting Mission Impossible 6 right now as well, and for that he needs a mustache, and they're not letting him shave the mustache, so they're having to do the reshoots for Justice League with him with the mustache in the Superman suit, and then they're going to CGI out the mustache so that it's just clean shaven later, which I'm worried how that's going to look, honestly. That might be weird and off-putting, but we'll see.
You can't tell me the mustache is that important that he couldn't just shave it and regrow it. Like,
Depends on the timings.
Yeah, maybe he's going
What?
back and forth. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't know what the schedule's like.
Do you know what he should have done? Grow a full beard, have Superman with a beard,
Yeah. I
and
guess
then
it's
just
easy.
shave it off after. It's easier.
I guess the problem with that is that if they're still using some footage from before we didn't have a beard, then they have to mix and match. So
Yeah,
they'd
they'd
be
have to reshoot all of that as well.
yeah, they have to
you
reshoot
know how
all
this
of
all
that.
could have been fixed?
Mm-hmm.
By not having Zack Snyder direct the movie. That's it.
Well, yeah, obviously, but we're working with what we've got here, Matt. What we've got now.
Yeah, I know, but that's not funny to say that. It's funnier what I said. Duh.
He's not wrong.
I
No.
mean, he's not, but
I don't actually mean that. Like, I understand how time works, but
Oh, good.
I'm not convinced.
if the DeLorean was real, I'd be using that thing.
What, to assassinate Zack Snyder?
No. I would just kidnap him, and then it would turn into this weird Stockholm syndrome where I end up becoming his biggest fan because he's not actually a terrible person, just a terrible director. Like, I got him in the trunk, but then we go have lunch, and we both bond over pizza.
You've thought about this too much.
But you've got him kidnapped, but you're taking him out to a public restaurant for lunch? What?
Oh no, I didn't say public.
Oh, okay.
I said pizza. He still has to eat it in the trunk.
How are you bonding with
Duh.
him eating pizza? And, like, can you hear him when you're up driving? Like, is there?
Yeah,
sound
I'm
flow?
assuming the DeLorean it lifts up.
Oh, it's the
and I can
DeLorean.
sit
All right,
back.
we're still in the DeLorean.
We're still in
dude.
the. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
realize
Okay.
we were still in that
Yeah,
either.
we're still in the DeLorean. You guys got to believe that if I had a DeLorean, I would be doing the podcast from it right now.
Yeah, but if it's a time travel DeLorean, it's got all that shit in the back. Is there even a? Is there even
You
a
know
trunk
what?
to
I
put
could
them
go
in?
time travel to the point that I've never read certain books. That'd be great too. Oh man.
What book in particular are we thinking of?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe most of the Justice League stuff I read that Hitch wrote.
I thought you were going to take a shot at Superman 28 there.
No.
Oh, I wasn't. I
Not
mean,
far.
well, more than that in a little bit, but that's
Yeah,
that's
Because
not terrible. It's
unlike
just-
Connor, I've been yelled at enough that you don't do teases like that.
I know. Look at him. He's spoiling the thoughts and feelings already. We're not even at the book shit.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Go on.
anyways, super mustache, weird. I can't believe this is a story in 2017.
I will say this though. Henry Cavill put a post on Instagram that was a thrilling read. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we don't deserve him. Think what you will on Man of Steel. I think he's always been fine, right?
Oh, I think
I have
it-
issues with that movie, but never with Cavill.
See whenever you see him like in an interview and he's like smiling and he's joking, I'm like, he looks like Superman. He just doesn't get
Yeah.
to do that when he's been in the movies.
Exactly.
And that post that he put out, and it was like a picture of like something from the set of Mission Impossible. It almost like a giant like arc reactor from Iron Man, but like on the floor. It was like a big thing like that. Whatever that is for the movie, like some fancy high tech facility, I imagine. And
I'm
he-
sure
he-
Tom Cruise is going to jump into it.
yeah, probably. And he was joking about how this is them building something to try and fight the super mustache, but no one can defeat it. And it was just this joke post, but it was really well natured, and it was clearly just having fun with a joke, and it was nice. So credit to him.
You think that's also Whedon's presence? Because we know he likes to keep a loose set.
Possibly.
Oh,
Possibly.
but yeah. Anyways, who's directing MI6? Is it McQuarrie again?
I think so. I think it's the same guy as 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be that too. He's having a good time, and that's good. That's what you want in your Superman. Your Superman needs a smile, even if it's not in the movie, just in
Somewhere.
public. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fair. All right. Well, that's enough of the small talk. Let's get on to some of the books. Let's get on to the meat. this week's show. So first up, we have Batman number 28, Tom King writing and Mikel Janin on art. This is part 3 of the War Jokes and Riddles. And first of all, can I just say that I actually really like Catwoman's modern outfit. I'd even go as far to say that it might be the favourite, the one with the goggles and all that. And then I saw Janin draw the classic purple with the thigh-high boots, and I'm like, I don't know, I might be reverting to this now. Like, this might be my new favourite.
Yeah.
To be fair though, I think
it's so 90s, so for this supposed to be in the past, her being in that is just like a nice meta, not a meta commentary, but it's just like, yeah, it's the past. She wouldn't be dressed the same.
Yeah, it kind of plays into the whole, the story that King's been telling between the two of them. The alternating versions of their early meetings.
Yeah,
and this is kind of playing into that still.
Yeah, a little bit, and I think, and I actually really like this part of the book. I know I've heard some complaints online that some people think it's stupid that. So he's telling her all this story and she's actually part of it. I'm like, yeah, sure, but they make it very clear here that she is not a part of the overall scheme. Because he actually says, one notable person opted out who didn't end up dead, and that's when we cut to Catwoman. And I really liked how she chimed in the present day narration as he's telling the story, where she threw Kite Man out a window, and she's like, I knew you were there. Sure. And then they say the exact same thing in the flashback.
It goes back to their first meeting, how they see it differently.
Yeah.
It's playing off of that to where he's like, yeah, you threw Kite Man out the window. Yeah, but I knew you were there.
I think just the larger story there of, why is he telling this story? He's telling her his perspective, and it's how it's affected him. And so there's probably stuff she doesn't know.
I imagine most of it. She'll know that this war happened, but the whole point of this story though is that he's building up to something he did that she needs to know before they can move forward, because it's something he regrets, or it's something that's a big part of his character, something that's.
I'm feeling like it's going to be, this is him coming clean, because he proposed before this.
Yeah.
The whole arc started, and so he needs to clear his conscience, and whatever that is, I'm sure after what we saw in this issue. Seeing how far Joker and Riddler have gone. Yeah,
it has to be something big. And I will say as well, with Catwoman jumping in with the narration, I actually really like the because obviously they're always playful. There's always this, even in the flashback, there's this playful, oh, do I need to worry about you? Well, yeah, you do need to worry about me, and that's when they kiss. And there's always this playful tension with them. But in the present day narration from them, she actually apologizes for stealing the diamonds when when Batman woke up. He's like, yeah, sorry about that, I lied, and it does actually kind of neatly show how much they've grown since this time, how there's this more honesty with them. It's almost like at the start of the relationship they were playing up these characters more, and even though there was this flirtation, it was very much all behind the mask, where I'm pretty sure in this flashback she didn't know it was Bruce, whereas in the narration she refers to him as Bruce at one point, and she says Bat first, but then when she sees he's getting distressed because she's asking him if he's okay, so Bat, and she changes to Bruce, are you feeling okay, what's, and he's like, it's just, I like that, I liked how it showed the difference.
It's a more personal touch.
Yeah. So
because you can tell this time, this is how I felt 0 Year should have felt. There's this big whole thing, and they refer to it as the 0 Year. But it didn't feel like it changed Batman that much. This does. He has a epic battle between Deathstroke and Deadshot, and you feel his stress throughout, and that's his opening shot basically into this war.
Pretty much. This book divides neatly into three. This issue, the middle is the Catwoman section. The first chunk is showing how bad things have gotten. It describes Gordon goes to see both Riddler and Joker, and there's this dichotomy of seeing both versions of it. Riddler was 37 pages of steps and all the things he has to do to come and see him. Joker sent a note saying, "Come in your undies." So you see him walking like a hood over his head in one, and his undies in the other, and it's all this stuff, and it all builds up to they both want you, Batman. You can end this war right now. They both want you, and obviously their instinct is to say, no, we're not going to give them you, we're going to try and fight this. Right. But it's throughout all this we hear about they've basically got different parts of the city under control, and they fight in the park. It's basically no man's land. The park in the middle of Gotham is now no man's land. And there's only a couple hours each day where they sort of calm down long enough that the people can go in and get the bodies. And it's this idea of this war's going on. And
yeah, it's a legit war.
it's dark as shit.
Yeah, and I like that. It matches for an early Batman story. Like, it should be. He's kind of a darker character, and this would, if this doesn't impact him, then it's like, well, what's the point of reading comics?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. There you go.
I was gonna say, I really love this opening section of the book because it parallels between the two of them. It's like just how similar Joker and Riddler are, but just slightly different enough.
Yeah.
Like it goes back to the opening of this arc where that was kind of the point, where Riddler approached him. He's like, we're kind of the same.
And I think that's actually a really smart thing to do with this story, because I think I've often thought, I mean, some Riddler fans are going to hate me for this, but I've always kind of seen Riddler as another version of the Joker who, at least for me, has always been just not quite as good. Like, I like the Riddler a lot, but a lot of the things that he does is very similar. And it's, especially since, kind of like the Joker, he's not a villain that can fight Batman physically. Like, if Batman gets in the same room as him, it's kind of over.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because he's the brain.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're breaking these down into alignments, like for role playing, like Joker's like chaotic evil,
obviously,
right? Like, and then but on the opposite end of that is Joker, who's lawful evil. He has these rules he has to follow. Like that's his mania. Where the Joker's just a psychopath. I've always taken that Riddler's like OCD, and he doesn't want to leave riddles, but he feels like he has to prove that, oh, I'm smarter than you, and if you're at my level, you'll figure this out. And here, there's a little bit of a change to that, because here it seems like he's edging more towards Joker's area.
I think that's Riddler's hubris. It's like he leaves the riddles not because he thinks that if it doesn't get solved, then he deserved to get away with it.
Right.
Whereas if it does get solved, he's like, all right, fair enough, I'll try again next time, almost.
Exactly. And that's why I always liked him, and then I've gotten, like, there hasn't been that many great Riddler stories. Like, you have that Paul Dini Detective Comics run. That was great, because he was doing all that to show that he's smarter than Batman. Like, come to my private detective firm, and I'll solve stuff Batman can't. But then, when he's not used as well, and he's like Pete said, he's just like a version of the Joker that's not a physical threat. So once you beat his riddles,
you've beat him. Yeah, and I think what was smart about this is that the fact that it's like real life. Like when you meet someone who is actually like you tend to end up fighting with them. Like you have because positive and negative attract. So two positives or two negatives kind of like clash, and it kind of feels like that. That's why this is spurred up this way, is because they are so similar.
Well, yeah. Now that you say that, that's also the same with Batman and Catwoman. Like that arc that we got that I wasn't a big fan of her backstory. How she would look in the orphanage, and there's the picture of Bruce with his parents. They're both kind of tragic figures in that way as well, and it's almost why they're drawn to each other, and the way that Joker and Riddler are repelled by each other.
Actually, I think every section of this issue plays to that theme, because the first section is obviously, the Joker and Riddler and how they treat Gordon.
Yeah, two versions of the same thing. Yeah.
Right.
By the way,
the second
Joker's joke killed me.
Go on.
Where he says, "Come forth."
Oh yeah,
it's a line.
Come forth, and you shall have eternal life. But he came fifth, so he won a toaster.
Yeah,
the toaster. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
But so then, obviously, the second section of the book is the Batman and Catwoman, and like you were just saying, they're very similar but opposite at the same time. And then the third section is Deathstroke and Deadshot, and it kind of it's still like the way they're fighting.
Yeah, it's two sides of the same coin kind of idea.
And,
which let's get to that. So it was like the war of the snipers, and of course you see Deadshot, you see Deathstroke, you're like, oh, this is fun. And yes, there is a mistake in the art. Janin has acknowledged it on Twitter. He knows that there was a mistake that wasn't caught here by anyone. Deathstroke is aiming through his blind eye. He's not he knows now, right? Everyone calm down. It was an honest mistake. We can get over it, okay?
Here's the thing, though. I always feel with Deadshot versus Deathstroke that it's like Flash versus Superman in a race. Like if Deathstroke, I'm just calling him Deathshot. God damn it.
They have similar names. It's hard at times.
Yeah. If Deathstroke is a good or equal shot as Deadshot, then what's the point of Deadshot? Because that's like his thing. Is he's the preeminent marksman in the DC, like DCU.
That's actually a very good comparison. Yeah, it's kind of like how. Superman's pretty fast, but he's not as fast as the Flash, but he can do all these other things. Deathstroke is a good shot, but he's not as good a shot as Deadshot.
Right.
But he can do all these other things because he's a meta.
I think it shows here he's good enough to hold his own.
Yeah.
But not good enough to just outright beat him.
But talk about how dark this gets, because it's like, oh, this lasted 5 days, and it was like on and off for 5 days, and like day whatever it was, Deadshot blew up a building, and then this happened, and it's like you see all these 2-page spreads, all this carnage, and Batman's trying to catch up to him, and he eventually does. And I liked a couple of points here. Batman mentions that like he's going to try and fight these two like well-trained killers, but he's only about a year into this role at this point. Like I think he says, "Oh, I'm only a year since I was kicking a tree," which is a nice callback to year one actually, because that's one of the big things at the start of that book. You remember that quite vividly, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe he can't really take on Deathstroke in a one-on-one fight right now. And for me, the reason why he can beat them when he does catch up to him after 5 days is because they've been fighting for 5 days. They're bloody tired.
Yeah, they've worn each other out.
Yeah, he's got a chance because of all this chaos, but so many people have died. Because I think probably the darkest part of this whole story is he says on like day 2 or whatever it was, they sprayed into a crowd and like 14 people died, and it was like, Jesus Christ, this is going to a dark place.
Well, I mean, and this goes against.
The next one he bombs the building and it's like 28 people died, and then like
Oh sure, but I think the spraying one like hit me more than the others because it felt more real. Just
it's random.
Like not that people don't bomb buildings, they do, but that one just felt specifically sort of
because they're specifically doing it to create terror.
Yeah,
versus the bomb, which is there could be strategic reasons or whatever, but it also goes against that, the more honorable versions of these villains that we've seen, like Deathstroke in his own book, or Deadshot in like Secret Six. Like they have these redeemable qualities that are just completely not here. So it also was a tough read because you're like, well, wait, why are they doing this? Is it because of Joker and Riddler? Like, are they just not at that level yet? Because this is, early. So it added that dynamic too.
I think it works with Deathstroke is just specifically because of what's going on in his book. The idea that he has all these regrets of everything he's done, like it kind of plays into that this was part of the dark path that he was on at one point. All this stuff that happened, but obviously the biggest thing here is that when Batman does catch up to them, he beats Deadshot so badly that he nearly kills him. He gets the doctor, the last line or one of the last lines of the book. Is the doctor says it's nothing short of a miracle that he's alive. And it's like, oh, right, so he's already nearly killed someone. He came that close. He's lucky that he didn't, but to try and stop this war. And he feels partly guilty because 5 days ago he had a chance to go in and maybe, go and see the Joker or Riddler and try and stop this another way. And it makes me wonder, what is this building to? If he's already nearly killed someone, like, what is the... And I feel like he's going to side with one of them. And
I think he's going to make a truce between the three of them, because I think this is the story that's going to put Riddler up on their level.
Okay.
Here. And I don't think necessarily he's going to side, but he's going to be like, look, what do I need to do to make this stop?
But
I feel like, right, say he took those offers, the offers was they both want to talk to him. I feel like they're both going to go, we'll stop this if you help us take out the other one. Like that's why they want him. That's the condition.
I can see that. I think he's going to take a side, and I think he's going to take Joker's side. As crazy as that sounds, and the reason why I say that is because, like you say, Riddler doesn't seem to have as many big stories in the history, right? Whereas Joker has all these big moments, and he's this thing. Every time he comes up, it's like, oh, every time Joker comes to Gotham, we're all terrified because it's like this wild card throughout the city, and what's going to happen this time? Remember when he showed up in Death of the Family? Every time he shows up, we just have to pray that we can stop it before too much damage happens.
Well, he's like a force of nature.
And I wonder if this ultimate guilt that Batman has is that maybe he's felt all this time that he sided with the wrong one. And, the reason why, because he did side with Joker and took out Riddler, Riddler's mostly not had a big thing to do since then, in this continuity. Like, what has he been doing since the War of Jokes and Riddles, really?
Yeah. But I'm also look at all the villains that are on Riddler's side. And they're all ones that have kind of been redeemed in the time since, like Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Clayface. Like they're all these ones that ride that line that at any time one thing goes different.
Even Deathstroke.
He's on the other side though.
Deathstroke.
No,
he's on Joker's side.
Deathstroke's on.
I thought you already said Deadshot. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the
again,
the
they're too
page where it
close.
splits.
No, but I thought Matt already said Deadshot, and I remembered them
no.
both being on opposite sides, so I just assumed that he was the other one.
They've got he's got Killer Croc as well.
Yeah, so there are all these characters that have been redeemed, so maybe this is he sides with Riddler, and that's what sends Joker even more over the edge.
Maybe.
But here's the thing: is I don't care where it goes. I just want to get there because I'm enjoying the story so much.
I'm speculating because it's fun, but I don't actually mind if it goes somewhere completely different, as long as it feels right. I think it's really building that he feels really guilty about something big that he did here to stop this war. Whatever he does to put an end to this, he's had to live with, and I'm excited about finding out what that is and what that does to the present day story going forward, like with that sort of in the barrel, as it were. So
some of the art layouts in this are phenomenal as well. Like obviously we always praise his art because it's gorgeous.
Janin.
But there's some of the specific. You have the bang bang with the two of them taking the shots, and then on the first of where it talks about through the days, on the bottom of that is the two of them with the snipers, and the snipers actually like meld at the end of the barrel, so it's just one sniper. There's literally no gap between them.
Yeah, that whole page, because is that the same page where he's Batman's carrying a child from a fire?
Oh, that's the next page.
That's the next page, right? That stuff's gorgeous as well.
That is because that's it. You've got the fire kind of split in the half of the page. It works really well.
Yeah, I'm really liking it, and I also like how it's leaving some stuff out of like the panels, like the whole we could have had an entire issue here of just villains fighting in the park. Like, we could have had that. Yeah. Like, that could have been a whole issue. And I kind of like that it doesn't necessarily do that. Now, if we might get one of those coming up, but I'm sure there'll be a good reason for it. But here it feels like it's building the myth of what happened as well, as much as it's building the character stuff within it.
It's funny, because usually you say show, don't tell. But here we're being told that there's war going on. And we're not seeing the two sides clashing, except when it plays into Batman's story.
Yeah.
Like here, where it's the two, Deadshot and Deathstroke. They're the ones clashing, so there's what we're following with Batman.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about that. Show don't tell is typically the rule. I think sometimes you can tell and not show if you know why you're doing it. Here we're seeing the effects after these bad things have been happening. We see Gordon get carted off willingly to both villains, and so we do see some of the effect of it.
Yeah, because that's what Hemingway did. And in a lot of his stories was you leave out the important parts and then talk around them. And then so the fact that there's a gap there, it fills in. It's like negative space with storytelling. And I feel that's what King's doing here, is there's a negative space there.
Yeah, I think it's almost comparable to monster movies, like, with Alien. It's what you don't see that makes it scary. It's almost like...
Or Jaws.
Yeah, it's almost like no matter what Janin could draw for that war... Yeah. Not seeing it and just hearing about the bodies being dragged out, once per day, fills your head with so much imaginative stuff. Like, it's, there's a fine line, of course, where it becomes too little of one or too much of the other, but riding it pretty well right now, at least for me. Like, I'm not feeling like it's missing important stuff.
I agree.
This is my favorite Batman story in a good long time. Like, that means a lot. Everyone knows. Everyone knows that.
I have to say, right now in War of Jokes and Riddles, this is the first time since Rebirth that I put Batman above Detective.
Yeah. I can't remember what Detective was doing during Rooftops. I might have picked those issues over the Batman issues that month.
Okay, maybe there's issues, but for a extended period of time.
Yeah.
Also, if he keeps sprinkling Kite Man in, Tom King's gonna keep jumping in my favorites list. Just the fact that he's adding Kite Man to these small moments.
Yeah. Especially since
that's it. There was no need for that here, was there?
No, he gets thrown out a window by Catwoman, and as he's going down, he just says "Hell yeah" mid-drop. It's excellent. I love it.
Are we gonna get? I want him to do a mini-series just called Kite Man. Hell yeah.
I could see it at some point, actually.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Honestly, I think he's built it up enough that it would sell.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. Well, one of our friends is looking for the first issue of Kite Man, right? As his grail of crappy characters' first appearances. He goes out to cons and looks for it, and I don't think that's possible without this awesome Kite Man hell yeah meme that's been going around.
I hope you know how they do the gradings on the old comics where they'll like say, oh, it's like a 9 point whatever. I hope it says 9.8. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Should be.
But if it's under like an 8, not so much. Just if it's a 7.2, it's just a 7.2.
It's just yeah.
It's just yeah. But no. That's another great issue. I am digging this arc so much. And the funny thing is, as much as you say, oh, we'd put it over Detective right now, it's not because Detective's actually it's not like Detective's dropped in quality, but we're all like, oh, I don't like Detective now.
No. I think maybe Detective has been stronger at points than its current arc.
Yeah, but it's not dipped.
It's not massively dipped, no. Whereas this has just gone up that much.
Yeah. So no, King's Batman is becoming something special.
Yeah, this is an all-time story by the time it's done. Like
very possibly
up there.
Feels like could be,
yeah. So there you go. That's Batman. That'll take us on to Superman number 28. Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason writing, Scott Godlewski on art. So, last issue we were fairly critical. We liked kind of the intent behind the issue, but we thought it was a bit preachy, a little bit too on the nose, a little bit too much of explaining things to Jaun. It felt a bit forced, all those kind of things, and ultimately made it a bit of a weird read. I missed that issue after this one.
I missed that after the first 2 pages. I thought the first 2 pages were decent enough.
Oh sure, yeah. The first 2 pages and the last couple of pages are good. Like the ending is quite nice, but
the ending's nice because it's over.
Well, no, I think it was a sweet moment. Like at the end, I like that Lois is like, "Oh, I'm surprised it took you this long." As like Clark's getting up out of bed to go and do his thing. I like that moment. That was nice.
Yeah, because they're not reading off plaques and giving us unnecessary lessons. Like, and that's the main problem. I have no problem if you want to be red, white, and blue. And like, hey, this is why this country's great. I don't care, what country it is. If you want to prop up, whatever, there's storytelling. Just don't be ham-fisted about it and have some subtlety.
But here's the thing, though. The last issue was ham-fisted and not subtle. This issue was a textbook.
Yeah.
I mean, right from like the 3rd page where they're outside the Capitol building and they're going, they're telling them about freedom of speech and Lois like, words are powerful. I'm like, you're both journalists. You think you'd have taught him this at some point already.
You're a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist.
Right, like, and even before you go, but she hasn't been a journalist for however long, but she was writing a book.
But it doesn't matter to me as a longtime fan. It's in her DNA.
Yeah, even if she's been retired like John's entire life, like if you're a retired whatever, you're still going to talk to your kids and your grandkids about the principles of what makes you and what you believe in and why you did your thing. Yeah. Like that's going to be a part of you.
The idea that they're only just saying to him that words are powerful from journalists seems wrong.
Yeah, you're longing for the days of, hey, what's that on the statue? That's graffiti, John. You miss that now, don't you? You miss that.
It's
I get where Tomasi and Gleason are coming from, because especially in this country right now, it's really heated, and I don't think it's been more divided since darker times.
Yeah,
and
like don't get me wrong,
so I get him wanting to exercise some of that in his art form. I just don't.
There's a better way to do it. I feel like
this could have had there could have been a couple edits. Like both of these issues could have been one issue, and it would have been fine. Like if it's just them helping out, like this family at Gettysburg, I could almost take that.
Yeah, like there's a better way of doing this where it's just not given the information. It's like. And I've seen the argument that these are good issues for kids. Like, if you give this to like someone who's young who doesn't know this stuff yet, like maybe. Yeah. But the thing is, though, is I turn to that double-page spread when they're going in front of the plaques, and all it is them reading off the plaques for the whole page, and there's a lot of text.
He literally says, why don't we read these plaques?
Yeah.
To Jaun, who can read.
Big chunky text as well. It's like I turned that page and I saw the amount of text that were in those word balloons, and I have
to be honest. I didn't get through all this, but I skimmed because I find this stuff interesting. I do. When I want to read about it, I will go and read about it, and I do that. But I'm reading a comic. I'm not reading it like it's a textbook. I'm not here to read plaques.
But again, there's ways to do it in a comic. Because right after this, I read the second issue of Bryan Wood's Rebel series, the second series, and that's all history. That's about the Barbary War that happened around 1796. But the way that he does it by putting in the characters and talking around the events, it's completely different, you know. So you can do textbook kind of information, not like this.
We just said about in Batman, you know, show and not tell.
Yeah.
Here, why don't you put a plaque in the background with some of this information on, and we can read it, and then there can be an actual conversation happening instead of just having your characters read plaques for 2 pages.
Do you know what this actually is?
Again,
this is a lot journalists. This is a lot like exposition, right? In a movie, you try to make exposition as interesting as possible because it's very easy to feel like it's just a lot of information, right? Yeah. And that's exactly what this is. This is like you do it, you interweave it, you make it interesting, you show it through the story that it's telling, and you make it interesting. Here, it is just a wall of information that doesn't really mean anything.
Literally. A wall.
So I assume these. I'm not sure, but I assume these are just the real plaques because they're quoting. So he's just gone out there, written down the plaques word for word, and just transcribed it into and then have them read it out. And that's just lazy.
But yeah, so here, no, it is lazy, and like you have these two characters that are journalists, right? Especially Lois. Like Clark's whole thing is like, well, yeah, he's Superman. That the reason he gets his story is because he's closer to them, and he's not necessarily the best writer, but he's always the first on scene.
Yeah, but he always
kind of cheating. Yeah, Lois though, I feel like you could have had Lois just consolidate that to Jaun because they're in front of the Lost Soldier Memorial. You know, and it's just like, look, this is important because these men fight for freedoms, and we've lost them. And
here's a word: it needs to be digestible.
Yeah, but again, you have these characters that don't need to be reading it off. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Don't read it off. Make it digestible. Translate it. Have the characters talk about it in a natural way that feels like something.
And this is the problem. We're saying, oh, you know, this is great for give it to kids and they'll learn something. It's like, well, I don't necessarily know what these specific plaques say. I've never read them, but I still don't know what they say because I couldn't read it in this.
Because it was bloody boring. This is the thing. Like, it still has to work as a comic. It still has to work as entertainment. And I again, like I said with the last issue, I completely appreciate that this is, you know, in character for Superman to have all these feelings, to want to teach his son all these things. All of it's in character. The problem is, it's just the worst possible way to tell this story if you have to tell this exact set of things. Like, I feel like you can have them go visit all these sites, but just have them talk about, like you say, or not even talk about them, just establish the fact that he's visiting these sites and not actually feel the need to educate the audience on every single detail that comes from them.
Yeah,
I think the idea is, well, like, I'm sure if I wanted to read what these plaques said right now, I could probably Google it and see, you know, this word for word. I'm sure I could. So why don't you go, oh, this is where we are, you know, this is the general message of it. Yeah, like at the end, when they stop quoting, Lois says, you know, another war to end all wars with the ... And that's the stuff that makes sense in this. That's the only bit on that whole page that actually has any character in it. You get her feeling on it. Yeah,
you feel what she's saying about it. Now, the second time in this issue, I sighed heavily. So they're visiting this other site in Gettysburg, and they do this thing where, like, you can see the ghosts almost of where, like, they're taking photos, kind of thing. And that's, like, whatever, but that was fine, I guess, to a point. But then it gets to where they meet the family, and I turned the page, and I was at the start of a flashback, and I went, oh no. And I put the iPad down for a second, and I was just kind of like, I almost just want to stop reading this. I really do. And I powered through. I picked it back up and I read it. But that flashback was tedious to get through as well.
While I don't think it was good, I liked it. But I'm an American history nerd, so like seeing this perspective of a soldier from Gettysburg and what had happened, I like that. I don't necessarily want it in my Superman comic though.
I definitely don't think this was as badly written as that bit with the plaques, though, because at least here it was telling a story.
Oh no, it wasn't as bad. But here's the thing. At this point, I was already pissed off at the issue, so I turned that page. I seen that it was a flashback about Gettysburg, and I just went, "Screw this! Piss off! I don't want this." I got angry.
I feel partly responsible because I had read this first early, and I let Pete know. I go, "Hey, bud, you're in for a trip based off of the last one.
I was in a bad mood when I got to this
thanks.
flashback. I legitimately was. I was annoyed. Especially since this run's been great, and then Black Dawn wasn't that good, and then these 2 issues. Like, I have never been so happy to see the words "next time" parallax at the bottom of the last page. I have never been happier to see the word parallax in my life.
Yeah.
No, me either.
God damn it.
I honestly think these issues are up there with the worst of some of the New 52 stuff. These 2 issues. Far. No, I genuinely think that I struggled to read this one.
Oh, in that sense, okay, in that sense, but it's in character.
It's in character. Yeah. It's not bad in that sense, but
it's not
just as an issue
wrong, like the New 52 stuff was.
Right. Okay. It's not Superman.
But this is the lowest of this story that we've gotten since Rebirth that Tomasi's been
easily
and Gleason have been doing. It's easily the worst.
This is easily the worst. And I'll tell you this right now, when I'm rereading this run down the line, I'm skipping these 2 issues.
Yeah.
I am never reading these 2 issues again. No way.
I barely read this one the first time round. I don't think I could get through it a second.
And it's such a shame because the art's pretty good. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. No complaints on
that.
It's
got a classic feel.
And like we said, the ending's fine as well. Like, like this family who are out there, they're celebrating the birthday of the soldier and their family who was never found. So Superman, like we say, gets up in the middle of the night. Lois gives him a little quip. Well, I'm surprised it took this long, and he uses his vision to scour the river to find them, and delivers them with a note saying 150 odd years or whatever has been long enough. Put an end to this. Yeah,
because that's why they're out there and they're celebrating, and that was nice because I know people that go to family members' graves to celebrate. So that was a nice little, slice of what's the word I'm trying to look for here. Tradition, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
They mean well. It just was executed poorly as possible.
Oh sure, yeah. Like, I don't doubt the intentions at all. It's just this was annoying to read, and I was getting angry as I was reading it because it just was not. It felt like I was wasting my time, and it was just.
Yeah. So. And it was hard to talk about online without giving stuff away, because when people are like, "Oh, Superman in American history," that sounds like something great, and it's like. But then you read it, and it's not what you think it's going to be. And take this from someone that loves both so much, like.
That's it. And you're saying, "Oh, the art's good," and it is, but he's wasted because they're just walking around talking. They're not. There's nothing. He doesn't get to do anything interesting.
How great would that plaque scene be if they were just silent and they were just taking it in, as a family?
It'd be more effective because I would get that it's impacting them and they're silent because it's like they're speechless because of it. It would actually say more to me as a reader than them just reading it all verbatim.
Do you know what? Keep in Lois's Another War to End All Wars.
War to End All Wars.
Yeah. At the end of the page, after you see them like walk through it and see these plaques,
it would be a million times more effective. It would actually matter. It would have an impact.
That's it.
Especially with Jaun planting that little flag at the end too, like.
Yeah. It's just, this was not good.
But hey, Parallax and Metropolis, which I haven't thought of those entities in a good long while, so I'm interested to see how this works.
Yeah, and it'll be the first time in a while Tomasi and Gleason are back in that Green Lantern world.
In that world, yeah.
That is true.
I love that. I love that almost more than the Jaun series at that time when they were on
it's
GLC.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on then. Let's try and be positive. Next up, we have Green Arrow number 28. Benjamin Percy writing, Johnny Ferreyra on art, and luckily this came along to pick up the Superman slack that was left.
Yeah, speaking of Metropolis.
Yeah. So Ollie's in Metropolis to see Lex because LexCorp might have some ties to the whole Nine Circle thing. So he shows up and he questions him. And that happens as the Nine Circle have got this diabolical plan in the city where all of these LexCorp employees start committing suicide because it starts revealing all of their deepest, darkest secrets. But it's also... And at first I thought, it's a bit much of a leap to say they'd all commit suicide.
Weird.
But then they actually...
Like one of them, sure.
But then they put in a thing, it's got subliminal messaging in there as well to make them want to kill themselves. I'm like, okay, right, fine, you've solved that. That's good.
Kinda... Here, let me just pitch this real quick. It reminded me of the anti-life equation. So what if the Ninth Circle is leading to some new God stuff?
I'd be down for it.
Sure.
I'm skeptical that that's what's happening, but I'll be down for it.
Yeah. because I'm looking back at it, and we'll get to the New Gods special later, but it was reminding me of characters like Glorious Godfrey, who, he's a propaganda machine. He can make you believe anything. And it's just, there are little pieces that we're working in with stuff that we've seen through Percy's run that I was like, oh man, this feels like it's got dark side all over it. And it probably won't, and that's just a happy accident. But
yeah. I'm not feeling good on that path, but yeah, it's a nice thought. But so as this whole conversation's going on with Lex, and we see the effects around the city of these people committing suicide, we also see, of course, a classic hijinks Clark Kent who acts like a klutz to save someone's life. He's about to get stabbed or mugged or whatever, and this guy's getting a cab, and Clark intentionally acts like a fool to save him by accident.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's classic Superman stuff. But then some of the best stuff in this book though is you see all these shots, all these panels of bodies falling out the sky, and Superman looking up at them, and he has to, he's flying around saving tons of people, in quick succession.
Superman's a background character in this. That literally most of the stuff happens in backgrounds. As Ollie and Lex are having this, conversation over responsibility and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Superman's doing what Superman does.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments is just when he's looking up going, what's happening? You got the cape flowing. And
yeah, so it's good stuff. And it's funny because I remember one of Ferreyra put out a tweet with one of his early Superman drawings, and we thought it looked good, but it was a little bit funny in a couple of places, and it felt like it was an early sketch where he's refined it,
working it out.
Yeah, this is much better. His Superman's really sleek. I think it's the colors as well, because it's very flat, the suit. So it feels very classic and sleek in that sense.
It's actually not the only super suit I've seen fixed. The cover for Supergirl this month, when I first saw it, I was like, what the hell's going on with her abdomen? I was freaked out by it. But now,
I remember that. Is it fine now?
And now when I've seen it, the new version on on Diamond, I'm like, oh, they fixed that weird thing with her stomach. Now, I mean, it doesn't,
because that was kind of awful.
Yeah, whereas now, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best thing ever now, but it doesn't have that weird defect now. It looks more normal. So that's fun that they're fixing things before they come out. So no, all this obviously eventually converges when Lex and Ollie finally notice what's happening. Lex gets messages about what's going on, and Lex tries to fight it at the computer while Ollie goes out and starts saving people as well. And he's shooting zip lines and catching people, and Superman's flying around him. It's all big fun stuff. Kind of dark because they're all trying to commit suicide, but it also feels very heroic as a result because they're darting around. And the fact that Lex wins this fight with this, and he puts in an opposing algorithm to give them subliminal message of hope and love. It's first of all, that's a funny thing for Lex to be doing, and secondly, it ties in nicely with Superman and hope and all the rest of it. So everything just comes together nicely. It's this really well told story. Probably my favourite issue of this arc with Oliver going around doing stuff. So I'm digging it.
Yeah, it's good to have Ferreyra back as well. Just just at the end where they're all stood on the rooftops together and the sun's beaming out. It's all this bright yellow background. It's just gorgeous.
And I'm going to make a guess. And say that Matt geeked out for "Thanks, America's Dad." That line.
Yeah, so great. Just because it's Ollie that says that, right? Because it's just so flippant.
Superman says he's proud of him because he's really cleaned up his act because he's been a little shit typically, and now he's building himself back up after the ninth circle of tearing him down, and he's proud of him. So
I also really liked. Go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Connor.
I was gonna say I like the interaction with Lex at the start. Yeah, the two of them together, and he was playing Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah, I like that as well. He's trying to look for all the tell signs and the weak points, and they're thinking steps ahead.
Yeah, and that's Lex in a nutshell.
Yeah, except of course in this continuity we have a more, at least trying to be good Lex. Whether or not he's going to stick it for a long time is another question, but certainly he's not as evil as post-crisis.
It's only been a while, to be fair.
It has. It feels
he's
the fact that he's showing up in Action Comics to help fight, the bad guys, with a big S in his chest, at least it feels like this is the status quo for at least a good while now.
I mean, when you think about it, him being not evil has kind of been it since about Forever Evil, right?
Yeah.
Changed him. Obviously, we were.
That was the start of that journey, but that was quite a while ago now. So this has lasted.
2015. Maybe even late
No,
2014?
2014.
Yeah. So I think this has lasted
That's
longer
when I
than
met
anyone
Jaun's.
expected already.
Yeah.
Look at him drop it. I met Jaun's around that time.
Well, that's what I did, and he was doing stuff at a Comic-Con in Arizona for Forever Evil, and I had asked him some questions about it, and he goes, I can't tell you anything, right? Even if you're right.
Do you know what the funny thing is? I feel like if Matt met Jaun's now, right? I feel like Matt would get down on his knees, he would just put his arms around him and say, "Tell me Connor Kent's coming back soon. Tell me Connor Kent's coming back soon."
Oh no! First, I would hug him and then not let go until he tells me he's coming back. Although Jaun's is pretty good, so it would be like a Clash of the Titans. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jaun's works out. He's
no Capullo, though. Don't get me wrong.
No.
Yeah, what is it with all these comic writers and artists working out and being these big
Capullo is
beefcakes? What's going on?
He is massive.
Yeah.
You have this image in your head of like comic writers and artists like being kind of schlubby because they're just sitting around writing all day, which nothing wrong with that. I say that as a schlub myself.
No, I think that's why they do it, because they're like, oh no, we're sitting around writing all day, so we're not going out and doing anything.
He's like, that's what Capullo says. He goes, that's why he's into fitness, because he's like, I draw for a living. Once I decide just to sit there and eat Twinkies all day is the day that I lose. So,
I admire
but anyways,
the self-restraint. I admire it.
It's better than all of us.
Yes.
But back to Green Arrow, that scene that I was going to tag on, it's got the sunshine shining behind him and Ollie, where he says, "Thanks, America's dad," and it looks great.
It's so good.
Which contrasts
you just see
really
the planet in the background.
Yeah, the planet looks good, but it contrasts really well with the last page, which is then not quite next. There's a page where he's on the phone to Emmy and stuff, but it's you see Gotham in the last page, and it just contrasts. It's nighttime, and it's just the city lights, and it's just such a different world.
It's all these, like dull greens and stuff.
Yep, it looks toxic.
And again, we have this running subplot of like what's going on in Star City. We got Emmy and Dinah. They went to Henry Fife. They're like, hack this hard drive and stuff and give us information.
Here's the thing too, Fife is so willfully ignorant that the stuff that he's doing is causing other people chaos. Like he's just like, I get to go and make fun stuff at work, and then Queen Industries is weaponizing it to make people kill themselves. And he's just so like, but I get to do my job.
It'll be interesting to see if he gets confronted with that truth.
Yeah. Because part of me wants him to know about it, and he's kind of like, that's what they pay me for. Like, it'd be this nice little twist. The other part of me is like, well, no, I like Fife, and I don't want him to go dark, So have it just completely crush him.
I could see it maybe being the thing that finally, like, if Ollie and that's trying to get him to leave the company while it's still evil or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they'll use that, like he'll use that as the tipping point. It's like, well, do you know what they've been doing with your tech? And then he'll tell them, and that might be what grabs him back from the brink. If he's walking that line where he's maybe tempted by the dark side, like maybe he'll get brought back from there. And again, they're keeping the tension. Dinah doesn't want to talk to Ollie on the phone. So they're keeping that running where they're going to have this presumably great make-up sex, down the line when they finally.
Well, that's the thing. They have such a dysfunctional relationship.
Matt, jeez, oh, God, the Ultroning is real. Go on, you may continue.
I'm back now. I know. But no, that's the thing with the relationship. It started off so quick. They never really they felt it was right, because of the Rebirth stuff. But I feel like they never really got to know each other, and so now this is like their first fight, and they're both being really hard-headed about it. It's because
Ollie literally just went, "Screw this! I'm leaving town.
I'm out." Yeah. But I do like Canary and Emmy together as this Arrow and Canary team.
Yeah.
So Glitter Arrow, as Ollie keeps teasing her.
Yeah. Oh, and Emmy sitting playing video games or something about that. I enjoy the Emmy job, which is cool.
Great issue.
Yeah, that was a really good issue. Probably the best of this arc, certainly. That'll take us on to the other green side of the line, which is Green Lanterns number 28. Sam Humphries writing and Eduardo Pansica on art. So we got the first of all, actually, the issue starts with the final of the 7. I think I've said the last three of these I've introduced, that this might be the last one. I've not been keeping count, but this is definitely the last one. This is the seventh and final original Green Lantern. introduced, and it's a Kryptonian. I actually made a point of writing down all the names here, just because I was never going to remember them all.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, right?
I remember her's name though, because she's very important.
She's the newest one, and she's also Kryptonian, which means that Matt's just going to memorize it anyway.
She's the first Kryptonian Green Lantern. Like, we've never seen this before.
That is true. And
so,
to be fair, it lasts about 10 minutes, and then I don't know if there's been one since, so it's not a long tenure.
Well, because the sector that they're in is right next to Zudar, right? So Tomar Ray was on duty when Krypton exploded. So, you had the Zudarians kind of taken off
They've taken that line instead.
Yeah.
It said, and maybe it's because of this, because so we get her backstory that she's an explorer, and it kind of reminded me of Alien Covenant a little bit, where she has this kind of faith in the universe, or in Rao, the Kryptonian god, and that
interesting detail about this though. So they get stranded, right? And they say the reason why they get stranded is because they had some weird interference with a purple sun. Now, we know that different coloured suns mess with Kryptonians in different ways. I can't remember which colour does which, but I know there's one that each one gives them different powers. Like one's telepathic powers, one's
it's kind of like Kryptonite things. That way.
Like it's like different colours do different things.
Because red sun takes it away, blue sun gives extra powers, and as far as I know, that's red, yellow, and blue are the only ones that I know of.
Well, I've not seen red as taken away so much as just red's neutral because that's their sun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Lex hits him with red sun energy, and he has no more powers. That's the old go to Silver Age type deal. But
so I thought that was interesting, and I thought it was are they already having effects of that, and we're not noticing them? Like maybe that's why they survived the storm.
I think possibly because she says Rao spoke to me. Like she sounds like she's actually hearing a voice.
Yeah, and this is the tragedy of this issue because she doesn't stick around for very long. Like. I'm really digging her character, and we find out. So we get her story, and then the ring comes because she had so much will by saving her people. This dust storm hits. They all want to hide in the ship, but she's like, we can't, and it tears the ship apart. So had they been in there, it would have been that's it, the end. Yeah. And because she showed that will, the final ring comes to her, and her name's Janelle.
I'll list them all down here since we're getting to the name. So Janelle of Krypton. We have Aletha of Galactica. That was the first one we get introduced to.
The third world.
Yeah. Zekran of Zaran, who's from Mars. That's a white Martian. Kaja Dox from Yod Kolu. That was the one who couldn't get a job. It was like a more sort of down, sort of more grounded, sort of almost like Earth. Person. But and. Yes, and I think her mother was mad at her because she was gay. I think that was one of the plot points with her as well.
Yeah.
Tyrion R from Tamarin, he's the big beast-like dude. Colleen, which is the Swamp Thing-esque elemental tree Groot-looking one who can grow, vines and whatnot and branches. Brill of Grenda, which is the AI robot we get introduced to in the last issue, and then of course the final one is Janelle of Krypton.
I think it's interesting that they're all. Maybe the plant elemental, all places that we're familiar with in the DCU already.
Well, Grenda, not so much.
Grenda?
I'm sure there is one of the Green Lanterns that we have at the minute is in there.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, Robot Man was from there too, I think. Maybe. Yeah. And you remember this is 10 billion years in the past, and
Tamarin's big hairy cat beasts, whereas now they're Starfire.
So. Here's the interesting thing.
Change for the better, I think. Change for the better.
I tend to agree.
Yeah. Each of them also shows signs of a different core.
They do, because one of them's I think it's the Tamarin. He's greedy. He wants the rings for himself. Yeah.
Yeah, he was given to me. I'm the strongest. And then you have Janelle, and she's clearly the Hope Lantern, and we see what happens.
That's what sets her off, yeah.
Yeah. we
see what
happens when you have too much will and nothing to base it, is that her hope.
Which is actually kind of funny, because obviously this is the start of the whole ring thing, right? Yeah. And it's almost like the cores might get created because all these different people show different, different
you can almost
spectrums.
see all these 7 becoming one of each of the 7.
Yeah, and it obviously, and funny, because we've got one dead already, it makes you wonder: is that the ring? Because we know Jessica's got one of their rings. Is that the Jessica ring?
Hers?
Yeah, like because it's
which would make sense that it's her needing hope to get out of her depressive states. And that's what leads. That's why it could talk to her, and it's her coping mechanism. That's why it calls her Jaybird.
The only one we know it can't be is Turner, because obviously we saw him in the present.
Yeah, and we I actually would really. I'm not suggesting they're actually going to change her into a different color lantern, but I actually would really like a character like from Earth who becomes a lantern who's not green, and have that be like a main character in a book or their own book or something.
Guy Gardner was red.
Yeah, that was some great times.
Not red though. I'm thinking blue or maybe violet.
No, seriously, Soul's Red Lantern stuff that he did with Guy was fantastic.
He had a handlebar mustache.
It was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But anyway, so each of them have their own. So I've been trying to figure out whose is whose. None of them are. Some of them aren't as clear as the others.
Yeah, you would imagine that.
I feel that the Kaluan she's love, right? Because that's key to her story.
See, I don't know. I feel like that. I don't know about that, because I feel like it is. But here she seems she's very aggressive, isn't she? She's very much.
Well, yeah, but then so is the third world girl.
It's a playful aggression, though. It's not outright anger. It's more I want to mess with people. Like she even says that at one point about her plan.
Right. So I don't know.
But yeah, and so you have Aletha, who I thought maybe she's fear, maybe she's rage, but then Zoran, you look at his story, and it's like, well, no, he's the red one. He's from the red planet, for Christ's sakes. So, like, this is the stuff that I can get into the weeds with, and it took me forever to read this because I kept stopping and thinking.
Yeah, kept thinking about it.
Especially after Janelle gets consumed by her own will. Like...
I think maybe what we're seeing here, though, is that maybe there's only one or two that we can actually place right now, and maybe some of the others, as we get to know them better, will reveal their true nature a bit more. Maybe because we got 7 characters here. We have half a book, half a page, half an issue to really get into. We can only get into them so much. Like some of them could be putting on fronts to appear braver or something like that. And, maybe the twist would be that Aletha is actually compassion, even though it doesn't seem like it right now. I could see them doing something like that where it twists and turns it.
That's true. Yeah. I also thought it was really interesting that around this time they mentioned that Earth was the center of the universe.
Yes.
Which obviously we were always told Oa was the center of the universe. That's why the sectors were split from there.
Could that have been a lie? Like they've been saying that all this time, but it's actually been Earth. And that would actually explain why all these big, giant universe level events always seem to gravitate towards Earth. But
that was also explained through Jaun's in Infinite Crisis, is that New Earth's at the center of the multiverse. So it's the crux. It's where everything meets and comes in. But that would make sense that if this is this Earth, then it is at the center of a universe because it's 10 billion years ago. So who knows what else in the multiverse lies out?
Yeah. That's interesting. If they were lying about Oa, or if it's just a retcon, like why is this something to do with because of what's happened with Rebirth, that this is now the center of the universe? Like, it's just interesting to maybe ponder, like, will there be an effect for this going forward in some way?
Yeah, because it's not something that they needed to say other than to tell us that this is, it's new information to me at least. I don't know if I've been told it elsewhere.
And with the life entity, that was always taken to, I know from reading and on message boards back in the day, people were upset that like life seemed to come from Earth. And here, clearly, it couldn't have, because you have all these different alien species. Like Mars has its own civilization. There's nothing on Earth right now. So this has just happened to be where the life entity is developing right now. Who knows if it's a cycle?
Yeah. So that's interesting stuff. I mean, obviously the stuff that really happens in this issue besides this is that Jessica's like, oh, I guess we need to train them then, and she makes this big, like, she brings her big axe out, and they're all like, crap, we can make things like that with the rings.
Stuff?
They're all excited, and then Jessica goes full cheesy, and it's Simon who's narrating all this, and Simon's like, "Oh, Jess, you're so cheesy," as she like says, if you've been picked, and welcome to the Green Lantern Corps, and she's making all these big promises, and it's only after that Janelle blows herself up that they all kind of agree to be trained by her, and that's kind of the main thing of the issue is like they agree to, and it's actually this really nice this twist around where Jessica, who's the most naive, the rookie, like, who's been scared and who's been had a real tough time. Now she's the one who's going to train them. And she trained the original Lanterns. There's a nice cyclical thing happening here.
There is, yeah.
Again, that's what I mean, that there's cycles going on here. I mean, I think the first of these new Lanterns, of the first Lanterns we met, was she's on the third world. Well, currently it's the fourth world. So we know there's a cycle at play there, too. So if this is just Humphries going, everything has happened. So did Janelle die, beforehand? Or is this like one of those time travel things where Jessica and Simon have to show up?
Yeah, that's
I think they have to. I feel like
based on Tyrana said, that they were like, "Oh, welcome to see our old friends and stuff" when they visit at the vault in issue 25, right. I think it was. So I think this has always happened.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's always that. It feels like sort of destined that she has to train them, and that's why her ring, for whatever reason, will end up going to hers because it already bonded with her. Somehow, I mean, here
you say that, but what happens to her ring when she dies here now? Like, maybe Simon can take it.
Maybe he can. I don't know.
Because he's kind of ringless right now.
He is, but can you just take anyone and have it work?
Because he has to be selected.
Yeah, but I mean, he already has been selected, so the ring might recognize that and go, "All right, well, you'll do."
There's some truth to that. I don't
Connor,
know.
They're not wands in Harry Potter. Come on.
I know, but they're close enough at times.
I'm really curious to see where this goes. I really am.
I love this issue so much. I love when we can get into the history of the Corps and whatnot. So, I want to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, and of course we know Humphries is ending his run in
soon.
October. So this is basically his last stretch as he does this. So. He's been building up this for a while. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. Obviously, there's a page at the end where it teases that Volthoom's trying to get back into his world right now. And I think that's Volthoom of the time, not one that's went back in time.
No,
this is the Volthoom. Definitely. It was already here, and this is why Rami has made the rings and sent them out to.
I think it's really interesting. I know it's fire and stuff that's around him, but it's orange, and he's being very I want my travel lantern. So I thought that was an interesting touch. We
saw that with the Phantom Ring where it changed colour depending on what the emotion was. So that makes sense. So Green Lanterns is done nothing but really get better since it started. Really.
Yeah.
Like these past two arcs have been fantastic. So.
Wait a minute. Is the Earth? Do we know where the Earth entity is right now? The life entity is now.
It's in that weird mountain
It's in that
thing.
bit on Earth. Yeah.
It is in Earth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a Hell Seed in the center of Earth.
Okay.
So, I just thought of that. I tried not to think of that story at all.
Yeah, but
I didn't like it.
Where are you going with this? Right, so there's a Hell Seed.
I'm just saying,
is
the Hell Seed going to... Is it there to corrupt the life entity? Is that why Atrocitus put it there?
I don't know.
Because we thought it's just he's trying to claim Earth. But if this can give him an edge to be like the preeminent Lantern Corps.
Either that, or I could see it being the other way around. Like maybe when the Hell Seed does something, if we're even going to get to that before Humphries is done. Like I could see the Lanterns because they know there's a life entity down there. They'll use that to win somehow.
Yeah.
I could see them using that to their advantage, but that's just a guess at this point.
Gotcha. I try not to think of that story arc because I wasn't a big fan of it.
I'm not sure we're ever going to see it again because we know there's so little left of the run. I feel like it'll be just one of those plot threads that gets forgotten, and I'm okay with that.
That'll be really funny though. If like next week's or 2 weeks, like the next issue, the first page is Hell Seed.
It could well be. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of just being optimistic.
Yeah. I don't even think it's a bad thing if it does show up again, because like the run's gotten so good that I'm not even worried. Like if he does bring it back, it's like it's not like, that doesn't mean it's going to feel like that first arc again. So
it'll just every time I see it, I'll have to be reminded of that first arc.
It's really not that bad a memory. Come on.
Pretty rough.
Almost quit Green Lantern Corps because of it. Or Green Lantern.
It was a bit tedious, but it wasn't like it wasn't Bryan Hitch Justice League. Come on now, you're overselling it.
No, hence, I'm still reading Green Lanterns.
Yeah, but you're also still reading Bryan Hitch's Justice League. I
came back to it.
He skipped a bit
the whole time.
He skipped about 15 issues, so he's not.
I mean, yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, I think you're being a bit overly mean towards that first. I mean, I didn't like it that much either, but I think it was just kind of mundane, not that it was garbage tier.
I think it's soured with time in my memory even more.
Okay, well, whatever. Let's move on. That'll take us on to Nightwing number 26. Tim Seeley is writing. Javier Fernandez is on the art. And this is the start of a new arc, which does deal with the fallout, of course, of Gizzy's death, which happened at the end of the last one, which everyone's found out about.
Sad.
Yeah, it's quite sad. That said, the issue opens with some fan service, because if you're a fan of Dick Grayson, you got some naked time.
I saw that on Reddit. That was the thing, is like Seeley knows fan service, and I'm like, well, what could this be? So I click on it, and it's him showering. And
do you know what? I've seen a lot of people complaining about this, going, "Oh, I thought we were over all this stuff in comics. Yet why is Dick Grayson allowed to still have it?" It's like,
why not? It's funny. Like,
what's the problem? Like,
people are being like, "Oh, I thought we were over all the being overtly sexualized things of just in general in comics," and it's like, yeah, but it's funny, like Matt said.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's one page.
You can do it occasionally. It's not a big a deal if it's like.
I feel like, again, Lobdell ruined a whole thing by over sexualizing Starfire and getting that off to the New 52 on a bad start.
Right. I mean, that was rough because that was all happening around the time of the the first issues. It happened with Catwoman as well in that first issue, and so that was when it was rough. But
that was horrendous, though. That was intentionally supposed to be. That doesn't really sexualize, though. He's just in the shower.
No.
Right. Exactly.
And you can see his butt. Like, it's funny. I laughed.
It's funny because it's a running joke that Nightwing has a great butt. Like, it's just an internet thing.
Like, there was a whole issue in Grayson about that made one of our other friends decide he wasn't reading DC anymore. Like, and yeah, it's fine. There's allowed to be levity, but yeah, although he's not in a fun place. Like, he's in a very dark place.
For the record, I think it's okay to have a little bit of sex appeal from time to time, as long as you don't overdo it. And one page of someone in the shower.
Because we know Pete loves Dick.
I do love Dick. This is a lot of Dick. This is a bare naked Dick. It's great.
Man, so much. I'm gonna let go though.
Yeah. But no, so it's fine to have a little bit. I don't see why there's an issue with that page, but whatever. So yeah, they're getting over death, but then Huntress shows up, and this is where it actually gets a little bit sexualized, because Huntress has been all flirty and kind of like rubbing his back and stuff. But she's kind of leading them on because she wants him to do the mission that she's there to do. She wants to go hunting because it kind of relates to who killed Giz and that whole organization. Mm-hmm. And she's after someone. Yeah, the second.
The second hand.
Second hand. There you go. Because when you've worn out the first hand, switch to the second.
Hello.
Hey, if we're going to start with the dick jokes, I'm going to keep them going. All right.
Yeah.
The second hand is interfering with Dick.
I heard if you sit on the second hand, it feels like a stranger. A phantom stranger.
What? Matt crossed the line. Matt crossed the line.
Let's just move on and talk about how sad seeing his little squirrel on Giz's grave.
Oh, that's quite sad. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was crushing.
I don't care about people, but animals, man. Like, the people being sad, I was like, yeah, okay. But that little squirrel doesn't get it. Like, he just wants to see his friend. Rough times.
Yeah, it's just sad. So yeah, Huntress is all, let's go do this, and Nightwing's okay, but no killing and stuff because you'll upset Batgirl and the authorities traditionally.
Oh man.
So they go off to Italy to go hunting. Yep. They're going after this Dracula guy who travels in a coffin and he likes to do the whole Dracula thing.
Gianni Dracul. I was like, is there any other, nobody calls him that in the mob. They're like, I'm not. You can sleep in a coffin all you want. I'm calling you Johnny, all right? Like, oh man.
Yeah, so they go to this underground boxing ring because they're trying to get a location on him and they end up fighting these two boxers, and there's some fun action scenes actually, honestly. Yeah. It's a pretty fun time. But they eventually get to him, and the big twist of the issue is that this guy's already dead, and they find like a USB stick with like this video file, and it's the guy, it's this Dracul on the video. And he's talking about what he's been up to, what he's doing. He's scared of people, and it's a message he's sent to someone, and he ends up with saying Agent 19 signing out, and that's when they realise that this guy's working for Spiral and that they're doing some sort of cover up. And then the actual final page, of course, is all these agents from Spiral who are like, yeah, they've taken the bait.
So, do you know what, so you know how was it the last arc with Damien? That was kind of a throwback to Morrison's, Batman and Robin stuff, and all the stuff kind of played off of that. This feels like this arc's going to play off his Grayson run.
Yeah, and we have one of the writers of Grayson on it too, so it fits in. Part of me is just like, was it in the annual that we met all of these people with the powers? Yeah, because I've seen them before, but it wasn't in an arc, so I couldn't pinpoint it exactly. So
yeah, it might well have been.
Yeah, so we've seen them before, but having them come back up like this, that was pretty cool. And it being Tiger, and I know there's more going on.
I'm excited to see him with Tiger again because they had a great relationship. There was a lot of fun there. Yeah.
I only read a few issues of Grayson, so I really have no basis for
it's great
memories of all these characters. So I shall take your words for it. That was a pretty fun issue. I liked the Huntress Nightwing banter. It was very strong. I actually really liked her kind of almost try to seduce him into doing what she wants him to do. This whole, I'll rub your back for you, and you're so stressed, no one's been taking care of you. All that stuff. Because right from the get-go, I got that she wanted something. You could read, you could feel the intention behind it. It was really well done in that sense. If I were complete with this, there's a subplot with Sean and what's her face, Pigeon, and it's basically one scene where Pigeon's like, okay, I want to steal this statue and sort of make some corrections to it, and Sean throws off the handle and is like, I've given up this life, I thought you had too, I'm not going to be a criminal, blah 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 blah, and she storms off, go and fly on your own. And then later on there's a scene where Sean shows up at the Pigeon's place and is like, you know what, I'm sick of these injustices, I'm sick of being Sean, and she puts on her mask and it's like, oh, she's back to being the defacer, and I'm like, there was nothing in between.
It does feel like it happened a bit quick, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you gave me one scene that set up she was angry at the suggestion, and it just cut to the scene where, oh no, she's okay with it now.
I assume the intention was, the anger was just the denial, just putting a show on.
I get that, but you kind of have to tell that story somewhere. It felt like it just cut to the decision, and I'm like, okay, what happened? Why did she change her mind?
Unless we get to see that.
If it is just denial,
then that's undercover.
You think she's going undercover?
Yeah, I think that she's gonna stop Pigeon from doing what she's doing, and this is how, because it's how she shows she's changed.
Okay.
You can go through and talk with these people all you want, but it's actually what Nightwing was doing, and being proactive about it. That's what is gonna change her.
All right, okay, I can see that. I still have a complaint though, because I still think it reads weird in this issue. Then, if that is the case,
it would have been great. Make us wait 2 weeks and then see her go back and see the Pigeon, because it's one page. They could have just moved it to the next
or even
issue.
just not give us the first one, or at least not give us the first one where she storms off in such an angry way. Have her look tempted, so we're thinking, maybe she will, and then she does, and then it's and then we find out later in the next issue or whatever that she's only doing this as a ruse. But it read really weird. She just one scene, no, I'm not doing this. I'll never do this. I thought you changed. Next scene, no, I'm sick of being this. You're right. Let's go back to the life of crime.
Yeah.
It came off.
I'm not a criminal. You're right, I'm a criminal. That's how it came off.
Yeah, pretty much. Obviously, all the others who are grieving for Giz. At one point, they look over at the same statue when it seems like they want to do something. So I think they'll play into this as well, whatever's going to happen. But I'd be worried to see if they all revert to a life of crime. It's going to feel kind of depressing if they all do.
That would kill Dick, surely. Because, he's worked hard at, keeping them all together and being good.
But does that mean more steamy showers with him, like, contemplating his life?
Might well do.
It might. Matt, you got something to say?
He's just thinking of Dick in the shower.
Yeah, he's thinking of...
Yep.
I bet he thinks of Dick while he's in the shower as well.
Only on Wednesdays.
Okay. Overall, it was a pretty fun issue. Nightwing and Huntressy stuff was good. I like the reveal at the end. Even though I don't really know who these characters are, it still played quite well because you've got this team of assassins, and you get the feeling that, alright, if Spiral wasn't shady before, it definitely seems that at least a faction of it is very...
it was always shady.
Was it always shady?
It was always shady.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea that they're now the villains for Nightwing is actually a really fun spin on, his previous connections.
Yeah.
So I'm teaming with Huntress. Does a lot of nice climaxing to like everything that's built up since Grayson. So that's good.
Might want to rephrase that.
If I want to say climaxing, I can. All right.
Yeah, but when you said that Nightwing's climaxing with Huntress, it has a different connotation.
Give me strength.
Maybe this is why people were complaining, because they know we can't handle it.
That's it.
You give us Dick in the
entire
shower.
review was just innuendo after innuendo.
Yeah. We can't handle it.
Oh, dear.
Remember, 14-year-old brain.
Do you know, it's, at some point we're going to get a Catwoman ongoing. There's going to be some sort of Pussy reference in one of the issues, and we're going to just be go down a different path for another issue.
Be giggling school children, essentially.
Oh, dear. But that's Nightwing. Nightwing was pretty good. So that'll take us on to Deathstroke number 22. Christopher Priest writing, and Diogenes Neves?
Yeah, Diogenes Neves.
Diogenes Neves, there you go. On art, of course. So this was the team's first mission. We sort of ended the last issue with them just sort of getting there, but we had, two halves of this issue, intercutting. Matt, of course, is bored of the show because he's
No. I had an early morning to get a gym session in before we record, so yeah. Hit me now.
Yeah, why aren't you like Jeff Johns and Greg Capullo already? Like, you go to the gym all the time. Like, every time we go to record, it's like, oh, give me another half hour, and I need to just finish up at the gym.
Yeah, because he comes back and eats bacon and eggs.
Exactly. I love Taco Bell. We've been over this.
All right.
And donuts. They're delicious.
So we enter... I can't dispute you on the donuts. So we cut between two essential things going on, which is the main fight with all of our members, excluding Deathstroke, obviously, taking on these big... what's the guy's name?
The Radiant Man.
The Radiant Man. He's got these big constructs of himself that are fighting. And, so Power Girl's going big and fighting him back and, falling onto buildings and chaos is happening. Flash is running around getting guns and all these kind of things. It's a lot of fun stuff, actually. I actually really liked all this combat stuff. There was a lot of character in it where you could see how each one was contributing, and
it was really showing how unorganized they are as a team.
Yeah, it was.
Like when they say, "Oh, Kid Flash, go left," it's like, "My left are yours. Forget it. Go east."
Yeah.
It's east left.
They're blue. They're green. Sorry, not blue.
Green.
They're green.
Blue.
Wrong.
Thinking of Dr. Manhattan, my friend.
What do you want from me? But otherwise, though,
I also love that when Kid Flash is trying to do what he does to be a hero. And I'm super fast, but I need to be super fast and bulletproof, because he gets in there to save the Marines, and they all start shooting at him because they have no idea what's going on. That part cracked me up.
Yeah. I thought all this action stuff was fun, and then it's intercutting Deathstroke. Well, he's in in this city. He goes to visit Dr. Light, of all people.
Yeah.
And it starts off as a bit of a conflict, but he's like, look, these are just holograms, like, knock it off. And he's like, alright, do you want a cup of coffee? Yeah, sure. And it's just them sitting down and just talking about stuff.
I love how it confused me, because they're in this weird hallway and they're inside, and then when it cuts back out to the coffee, they're just in this like little picturesque backyard. And I was just like, oh man, look at Priest messing with perception again.
Trick of the light.
Like, yeah, it's so funny. He's like, yeah, I'll take it dark, take it black. Which, that's how you know he's a sociopath. Who doesn't even put a little bit of cream in their coffee?
It's a good question.
I don't even like coffee, so I don't know what that says. But so they said they talk about a bunch of stuff though. It's obviously there's some commentary about the kids, and he's like, "Oh, your kids are getting beat up." Bill's character, it's fine. Like and he's waving it off. He doesn't care.
He's such a terrible father.
But he's there to talk about one thing in particular, and that is the society has messaged him. They've called him out for something, and typically that usually means you're going to end up dead. Although Deathstroke usually gets out of it by, as he puts it, one hand washes the other. So usually like assassinates someone for them or something like that. But now he's on this path, which is starting to make me think, remember last issue, it looked like he went and killed someone to start this incident. It's starting to make me really think that it was not someone else in the mask that did that.
Yeah.
If he's being this truthful, here in front of Dr. Light. Yeah, it feels like...
It makes no sense otherwise, does it?
Yeah. But yeah, so he's like, oh, so I'm worried about what they want me to do, and he's like, in Light's like, I don't really know anyone from there anymore, so you're kind of on your own, but, and he's like, oh, yeah, thanks for the coffee, and that's basically the conversation, along with a little bit of, oh, do you ever miss it, Deathstroke, do you want to come and, like, I think what's it he says, let's come and, like, scare the kids, or something like that, or something to that effect. He's like, nah, that's behind him. He's like, do you ever miss it? Which gives us that really creepy ending where Dr. Light's looking in the mirror and you see him in the costume in the mirror smiling that maniacal grin. So, and Dr. Light, of course, can be very evil. There's, go read Identity Crisis if you want to see how
Identity Crisis. If that's still in continuity, that makes this even more...
I don't think it is, but...
Yeah.
It might be.
But that's what I'm saying. If it even is in play, the fact that he's basically he's a living being of light now, as he showed, then he's kind of living on his own, and he's under protection, kind of, in this small country. So, clearly he's there for a reason. But yeah, I love their conversation because they're basically just two old coworkers meeting back up again for advice. Yeah, the dynamic was fun.
Yeah, no, I like the conversation, and I like the way they were talking about the kids. So there was this sort of nonchalantly kind of writing them off and whatnot. And when Terra eventually showed up to help save the day, which was a great big page spread, and her being a bitch to Hope.
To Rose.
Was that Hope? Who am I getting Hope from?
You been reading Marvel on us, you cheater?
No, I've never read Marvel.
Okay, you sounded so offended then.
I did read Craven's Last Hunt like a week and a half ago, but there's no one in that named Hope, alright?
No, it's Rose. I know he Rose. It's Ravager.
Yeah. So she's a bitch to her, there's this little catty comment. And then that's when Deathstroke sees that in the news, he's like, alright, that's my cue. And that's when he gets out of his couch. And it feels like the dad getting out of the couch. You can almost hear him grunting as he gets up. He's like, alright, okay, there you go, sort them out. And there was a hint earlier on that he's like, oh, I don't do this for free. And he goes up to the ambassador in this country, he just hands him a bill. He's like, it reminded me of Ghostbusters. You remember how at the end of that scene in Ghostbusters where Bill Murray hands him the bill? And he's like, oh, I can just go and put them back. It reminded me of that, where he just hands him this bill for... And I can't... Have you got it in front of you, Connor? What was the amount? It was
102,967 and 24 cents.
All right, I never noticed the decimal point. I thought it was hundreds of millions, but
no, it's a comma and then a decimal point.
Right, okay.
I think it's even funnier that he goes into cents than if it was just a bigger number.
Yeah,
because that means he has it worked out. He's good at accounting.
I think it's hilarious. They've just destroyed this whole place.
Yeah,
and then he's like, "Here's what you owe us."
Yeah, but it also shows that
here's the thing, though.
Has the...
I like the idea that he didn't actually work it out. He just knows that putting an exact amount at the end makes it look like he did.
Yeah, I can see it.
Do you remember there's a classic story of the guy who, the first person who accurately measured Mount Everest, I think it was Everest, but he developed a technique to measure the size of a mountain just from the ground, but it was really annoyed that it worked out to be this round figure. It rounded to 100. It was however many thousand and 100 feet. And he was annoyed because he thought no one's going to believe me because it looks like I've just done it approximately because it's a round. So he added on 2. He lied about 2 extra feet just so that it looked like it was more accurate.
Well, yeah, so my dad lives on Maui and they have a volcano up there, Haleakala, and it's 10,023 feet. So when you're at the summit, you're not at 10,000 feet, you're at 10,023, and it feels that much special.
So all 23 feet. So it's another, few people high. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
It's great. But I can always remember that it's, there's that 23. So, actually it might be 26, but, doesn't matter.
So it's a toddler. So not a toddler, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, with Deathstroke too, you can see that Joey's got the leadership in him. Because he's starting to put it together with his icon suit that he wears, how to take out the Radiant Men. And once he actually starts figuring it out, did Deathstroke kind of sabotage them? To keep it going a little bit?
It looked like he might have, because he pressed something, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, let's just keep this going a little bit. So, like, he handicapped them.
Yeah, that's when he takes away his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, actually, since he's shown these leadership roles, that, if Deathstroke sort of regresses and all this goes to nothing, it makes me wonder, like, does this team still exist without Deathstroke? Like, does that become a book where Joey's leading this team?
Yeah, I can see it.
Probably
them trying to stop Deathstroke then.
Probably without Terra, though. Terra will probably end up being evil by the time we get there.
Well, because right now she's working for, what's her name? Adeline.
Yeah.
Yes.
As we saw. So, who knows where her true allegiance is? We just know she doesn't like Rose. And I like that dynamic.
Yeah. I really like that Slade was treating this as like a training mission. Because like you say, he was like, he was letting them do it. And he was like, he'll figure it out with the icon suit. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then once he does, he cuts off the communication for the team. And they have to figure out a new plan. And they have to go through that. So he's kind of doing it as like, right, let's see how adaptive they can be.
I think it adds on an extra insult to that bill that he's also using it as a testing ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he actually caused more damage by doing that. Like, because the fight ended up lasting longer because he cut off that suit. So, Jesus Christ. So, Slade gone to Slade, basically.
It is amusing me that he proper looks like an anime character. When he hasn't got the mask on, when he's sitting there with the coffee, he's all in white, he's the staff, the white hair, the beard. It proper looks just like an anime character to me.
I can see it. There's also a little bit of setup in here for the grocer, or more specifically the grocer's son. Who presumably is going to be set up to be either, if not a villain, maybe, because his whole thing is that he doesn't want to inherit his father's empire. He's quite happy to let it go. But I feel like that's going to end up something's going to happen that'll make him use it for his own good or something like that.
Yeah, it feels like it's connected to Rose's stories because it's dealing with the Hmong people.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's someone that she already knows that that's going to play in, like her family or whatever. I don't know. But I like that. It gave it a gritty feel.
Or not the real family, though, because remember, the family were actors, right?
Well, yeah, but they're still her family. Like, that's what they said.
That's how she knows them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just mean, like, it'll be the people she connected with, but they're not a real, family.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways.
But the Deathstroke was a fun issue, and I do think this has benefited a little bit from going once a month.
Me too.
I do as well.
The art especially feels more consistent because it's once a month.
I do miss Paggy Line though. I think his was better.
That is fair. That's fair. But he's away doing other things, I imagine.
Yeah, he's working on that the next Wonder Woman stuff.
That's right. So
Robinson, right?
Yeah, Robinson, yeah. Alright, that'll take us on to Justice League number 26. Bryan Hitch writing, Fernando Pasarin on art. So just Matt read this. Why did you jump back into this issue, Matt?
So I saw an image of it was the sons and daughters of the Justice League, and I was like, oh, well, I'm a sucker for generational heroes and alternate timelines. I'll give this a read. Within 3 pages, I was sorry I did. But I made a commitment. Yeah.
It's not a commitment. You don't have to read the rest of this. You could just bow out now.
Yeah, no, I did. Because I need to know what's going on now. Because I got in. What is cool is I feel like Hitch can write these characters that aren't characters that we know, and it's fine. So you have a character named Hunter who looks like the son of Wonder Woman, right? She's Diana.
Yeah.
But then he's wearing Superman's cape. So you're like, wait. See the son of Wonder Woman and Superman? Like, whoa. And then you have twins, lanterns, with the last name Cruise, but spelled like actor Tom Cruise, not Jessica Cruz. And there's a speedster that looks like they're related. Looks like a cyborg. Now, granted, I don't know the rest of these characters' names because they don't do a good job at.
Do you know what? I feel like I know some of this just from reading. Like when Matt was like, "Oh, I'm going to read this because it's Legacy," I was like, "I'm going to have a quick look." I read it, like the pre-release, because they've been hyping it up. They did the interview, and they were talking about these. I think the twin lanterns, they're Barry's kids as well, right?
Barry and Jessica Cruz. But then why is the last name not spelled like hers?
They Americanized it,
I guess.
Why?
But she's an American.
I don't know. Yeah, I know.
Here's what doesn't interest me about this, right? Like, I heard they were doing this. I seen like the preview pages and I seen like what they all look like, and I went, this doesn't feel like something that's actually going to be taken anywhere beyond just this cheap shock thing. We're going to have all these Justice League kids show up, but we're never actually going to get to that future, or we're never really going to explore them later. It's going to be for this one arc, it's going to be forgotten about, and we're never going to mention that again. And we're never going to have these kids be born because... Well,
right, because I saw what happened to Aquaman in this future.
Yeah.
What will happen?
So that's what got me. So you have all of them. You have Cyborg's kids. You have a Flash in there. You have a Superman, Wonder Woman, and then you have Serenity, who I do remember her name because she's the Queen of Atlantis as she's taken over, and Olympus has also fallen. So it's like a place that they can access, and as they're trying to get back to Olympus, this thing called the Sovereign shows up, who is now the ruler of Olympus. And it's kind of hinted that it might be Wonder Woman, but she's like all like has this suit of armor, very sleek, and yeah, it was super weird. And you also have Aquaman, who's been taken over by like Cyborg's tech, so he's like this like a Mazo kind of android now that has Aquaman's powers. And Serenity, tries to fight him, and she has the trident, and they end up hopping through this portal where it jumps to the current Justice League the Hitch has been writing, and I have zero idea what's happening. They're standing in a bunch of rubble, talking about how we can't let something like this happen again. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't care. And then the kids show up. Sounds
like a Hitch comic book.
Yeah. The kids show up. They're like, "Whoa, we have a bone to pick with you. It's because of you guys that our future's so terrible." And then it ends. So there's stuff I like.
No.
Like the
Doc Brown clearly said it's not you, it's your kids. We got to do something about your kids. That's what Doc Brown said at the end of the movie.
This is the opposite. It's not us, it's you.
Oof.
And so there are things I like. I do like this, future that we're never going to get, but like the son of Superman and Wonder Woman looks like Connor Kent. So that was a bonus for me. Huh?
Who?
Don't do that to me.
Who's this Connor guy?
And he also looks like he wears her tiara as an armband. So.
What?
You know who Connor Kent is, damn it.
What's wrong?
Yeah. Anyways, but then you also have the Lantern Twins that seem their powers work almost like the Wonder Twins. Like they bounce off of each other. The Flash character's very Impulse, and it seems like she has a relationship with Hunter.
Here, actually, there's a question. Why do Jessica Cruz's kids have lantern powers? That doesn't exactly pass down through.
I don't know. That's the other thing. It doesn't seem like they have the rings.
We have seen. Oh, do they not have the rings? I was going to say we've seen.
It doesn't look like they have the rings. But then again, why did Jade have emerald powers based off of her dad? Who those that don't know, Jade's Alan Scott's daughter.
Well, yeah, but he didn't have.
He was a. It was a bit different, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he didn't. He doesn't have a ring from the core. He has his own magical.
Right.
Ring.
No, but
go on.
But it's based off a meteorite that was infected by willpower from the Guardians, the Starheart.
Sure, but it's not the exact same thing.
There's a tie to it.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. So there's a lot of weirdness going on, and I'm gonna keep going because I think this is a short arc, anyways. Unless my week's too busy.
Well, it finishes in October because that's his last issue. Is at the end of October.
Yeah. Well, then.
So it's a full 6-issue arc then, basically.
Yes.
You sure you want to commit to that?
No, but if I do read it, I won't be talking about it. So we'll just do that. So if it sounds like something you guys are into.
Oh no, we're going to hear about this, Matt. If you're reading this book, we're hearing about it.
Hitch. Yeah, you will, because you'll have to, even in our chat, and then you'll make me talk about it. All right, so I'm reading this. Other things have to drop. I'm doing this out of principle now.
You're fine on week 1. It's week 3 that may be a challenge, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we'll move swiftly on here, get through some of these later ones a little bit quicker. So next up, New Gods Special #1, Shane Davis, who is writing an art on the main story, and then Walt Simonson is writing an art on the backup. There was also some reprints at the end as well, some old stuff as well. So what are these one shots? These are celebrating because Jack Kirby's 100th birthday would have been this year. So this is the king indeed. And despite the fact that he is far more associated with creating things at Marvel, DC are doing far more things to celebrate him than Marvel are.
I feel like he was a big player at Marvel, but he gets overshadowed by the bigger names, I feel. So by like the Stan Lee, where his stuff here is at DC, they're still using.
I know. If you think of like the New Gods, for example, here, you think Kirby. That's it.
Exactly.
What did Kirby create at Marvel though? Didn't he create a lot of things with Stan Lee though?
Well, he co-created the Fantastic Four, and
that's a pretty big deal.
And he co-created Captain America with Joe Simon, and then drew some of those. But outside of that, like, you don't think of big stories that Kirby did with those characters.
Oh,
like,
sure.
When you think Fantastic Four, you more or less think Stan Lee. Even though from what I understand, the stuff you remember from Fantastic Four came from Kirby. Like Galactus was the story goes, Stan Lee was leaving, and Kirby's like, well, what's the next issue? He's like, well, the Fantastic Four fight God. And so how did Kirby draw God? As he drew him as Galactus, which is like the most Kirby thing you can do.
Yeah,
and then you go look at what he did in the later 60s with the New Gods and Darkseid and Orion and all that. It all flows. So yeah, he created these characters that I feel are like DC itself, play off of legacy. And yeah, because you have a whole bunch of them that are being done. This, like, you have the Newsboy Legion coming out next week, and there's a Sandman one, which is weird because I didn't know he had anything.
There's 6 in total, Matt. 6 in total.
Yeah, but I thought they were all just New God stuff, and they're not. I mean, half of them are, but
yeah. We may not do all of them. This week was a quieter week, so we all made a point of reading this one. Next week is very busy, so we might not get to next week's one. I can say that for sure. But so what is this? This is focused on Orion, who of course is the swapped son of Darkseid, but he's been raised on New Genesis, and this is a story of his sort of swapped brother, if you will, Kalibak, who has tried to take over New Genesis by what is he's installed?
He's putting like a fire pit in, and it's gonna burn up the core, and he's gonna basically turn New Genesis into his own apocalypse. And
yes.
Orion, and he's enslaved these
bugs. The forager, and all
which
that.
I didn't realize was a Jack Kirby creation. So now it makes sense why that series has come out this year.
So basically, like they hear about this from Bug, and
Forager.
The Forager, and I'm not familiar with some of these characters, so if it sounds like I'm kind of thinking about that. But so Orion is like, okay, right, so we have to go do this. So he goes with Light Ray to stop Kalibak, and we get this big fight. We get some good emotion in the fight. I think this is a decent issue. It's not amazing. I think it really reads like, okay, here's kind of like, it does feel like it's largely for people who don't know anything about this stuff, because it's kind of like, here's who Orion is, here's Kalibak is, and here's us just stating quite firmly that Orion was raised on New Genesis, and he is a child of New Genesis. He has the beliefs of New Genesis, because he almost kills Kalibak, but he holds back and says, no, that's not who I am. And that's kind of just the whole issue.
Strength through power and what all that, and he's gonna best him in combat. And the reason he doesn't kill Kalibak is because Kalibak would have killed him, and he's better than that. So, but it made for a nice dynamic, because you have this cool design with Kalibak that he's just this big beast of a man, and then you have Orion who's fairly normal looking. He looks like a regular person.
But that's not his true form, as it
But that's not his true form. Yeah, the more savage he gets, the more he starts to turn into more of a Darkseid-esque look. Like, he has these scars on his face, and he's a bit more thick-necked and
he's got this New Genesis technology that like helps him keep his some more human-esque looking features. So
Oh,
I thought it was pretty decent. Like I didn't.
a fun read.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I don't think it was anything super memorable or lasting, but
No.
I think if you're not familiar with these characters that much, it was a decent job of saying, okay, this is who Orion is. This is sort of what his alignment is.
It's like why you should look at Orion as a hero.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just kind of it was basically just here's these concepts, and just in case they come up again, you now have an idea of what they are.
Yeah. Broad strokes.
Yeah.
I think ultimately it was fun.
Yeah. That was fine. Yeah. So, and then the backup was just this little story about Orion's first mission for New Genesis, where they go into the sea and there's this big giant squid like octopus monster, and there's these other piranha looking things, and that's basically it. They run off, and
Well, yeah, they find out that Darkseid's making like a evil fish army, and it was just again such a Kirby.
Yeah, it is,
kind
isn't
of
it?
thing.
yeah. Here's a question:
Yeah.
if Aquaman goes to another planet, can he talk to the sea life on another ocean?
Well, the fact that he's connected to Earth's sea life, probably not, because
Just curious.
John's run out of his.
Didn't we kind of get this answered recently in Aquaman?
I can't remember.
In H 2.0, you know, where there was that
they
alien water.
go through the portal. You're right, and he's talking to this. It's not
kind of, but it's not right.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Like it's like
It's like there's a language barrier.
Yeah, it's almost like he can hear them, but it's in a different language, so he can't quite understand them. Yeah.
There you go. Well,
There you
because
go.
John set up that he
Good
doesn't
job.
talk to fish. He can push them. Like he can hit certain things and compel them to do things, but he's not actually communicating.
Oh, sure.
So,
We just used language as
that's how I
a
see it.
metaphor there to explain how that works.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, that was. I like that arc actually. H 2.0 was quite good. That was probably the best part of the Aquaman run until 25
Yeah.
hit. So, I like that a lot. But no, that was a fun little one shot. I don't think it's a need to pick up by any means. Like you don't have to go out your way to read this. But if you're curious and just learn a little bit about Orion and New Genesis, yeah, sure, it's a decent little fun time.
Also, I'd forgotten how much I enjoy Simonson's art.
Yeah.
It'd been a while, and I was like,
Classic feel.
I do really like this. Yeah.
Cool. So that'll take us on to Harley Quinn and Batman issue 1 by Ty Templeton and Rick Burchett on the art. This is a digital first series, which I didn't even know was happening, and Cora just said right before we started recording, oh, by the way, I read this digital first series.
I did mention it in our chat like a few days ago. I was like, is there anyone else going to check this out?
I had no idea what you were talking
and
about.
I mentioned it in the thread in the Marvelous Facebook group. I had a bit of a talk with it with James and Matt. So this is just on you for being willfully ignorant.
It's not willfully ignorant.
Yeah,
it's
but I think it's
willfully...
worse that I chose not to read it, having you talk to you about it, whereas Pete just didn't know about it.
It's willfully ignoring stuff that comes out of your mouth that I don't have a reason to assume is important.
I mean, fair enough.
That's how I process information from you. But you read this, and so go on. What was this? What was this?
Right. So as far as I'm aware, this is a lead into the new animated movie, and it's set in the the animated series continuity.
Nice.
So they're all in those costumes. The art's very of that show, and it's basically this first issue is the Batman and Nightwing go to Joker's headquarters, and Joker keeps trying to stop him. He's bringing out all these gadgets, all the sort of stuff he did in the show, but everything keeps going wrong. And essentially, Harley's just there laughing because she sabotaged everything because Joker doesn't give her enough attention, and like he keeps idolizing Batman essentially over her, and she's fed up of it. So she basically told Batman where he was and sabotaged it all. That's most of this first issue is just that, and it's but then it gets to the end and they're like, right, we should take her into custody as well, but Ivy comes in and steals her away, so we just have them set up as the what's next.
Okay,
but it's a short read, it's digital first, but it's fun.
So it's only $1 or $2, I imagine then.
$1, yeah. I recommend checking it out.
That's cool.
You had me at Ivy.
That's how I knew you'd read it. I was like, we got some Harley and Ivy stuff together coming up.
Yeah. Well, that's why on top of the other 25 books that Matt needs to read for next week's show, he's going to read Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, because Ivy and Catwoman have got a thing going in that book next week.
Oh, damn it. I wish I didn't know. Now I'm going to be tempted.
Yeah, Matt's wife's going to beat him up when he brings home a stack of comics that's as long as his leg.
Yeah.
Although I do have short legs,
yeah.
so.
You can't just nod. Remember, people do listen to this.
I know.
The silence says it all, though. To be fair,
it does.
Oh dear. Okay, that was nice and quick and painless. Do you want to keep talking about that? Are you going to read more of it?
I'm definitely going to keep reading it, but obviously it's every 2 weeks, so next one's week 3. So we'll see how much there is to talk about. Because obviously this one is just right. This is one Joker thing, and then another one.
It's like 10 pages, yeah. So it's hard to have a full discussion about it, even by yourself. But that does take us on to the most anticipated segment of the show. Let me get the button up. For the audio folk, I am initiating the Connor button, which is the... Oh, I didn't even fix that from last week. Apologies. The video folk are getting some shoddy treatment here. I'll be able to leave it.
Do not leave it.
Yes, I have on screen on the video version a representation of how much Connor loves Red Hood. So I'll just put that there, nice and neat, and I'll need to put some backing light on that text just so it's more visible. But there you go, that's that in place. So Connor, I want you to tell us, because on Patreon someone has been kind enough to force you to read Red Hood and the Outlaws issue 9. So by all means, tell us what is it about.
Okay, we're still on an Artemis arc. It's the last issue was technically just the prologue. So this is the actual thing now, which is probably the worst the book's been. Yeah, like Artemis is the weakest part. Like Red Hood himself he's almost the base level of the trio. Bizarro's pretty good, and Artemis is worse. That's so some expectations there. Mm-hmm. I will say Dexter Soyan art is pretty good. I do like his work.
Oh, that's fair.
So at least it's visually nice for most of it. So there's some decent layouts with some flashbacks and stuff. But it's just they're going to Karak, which I'm sure you will remember is where Joker killed Jason Todd.
Mm-hmm.
And you will remember, and if you didn't remember it, it makes sure you will, because it tells you about 15 times in the space.
Wait, hold on. So he's written however many 50 issues of New 52 Red Hood, and now he's still going back to that time he got killed by the Joker.
Yeah.
The same thing. We're still going back to that over and over again.
Yeah, and this is actually one of my problems with this issue, is it doesn't really make any use of that. I mean, it keeps telling us over and over and over again, and then they get separated at the end because their plane gets taken down, and he's in the compound that it happened, or he thinks he is, and he's like, oh, the Joker must be behind this. But it's not really doing anything with it other than just going, hey, look, he's here. There's nothing actually happening from it yet. Maybe it will. The Artemis stuff is worse, obviously, because she's awful. She's still going after this bow of Ra that was on about last time.
The bow of Ra's al Ghul. I made that joke last time, I'm sure.
You did. You definitely did. It's bullshit. She's just going after it, and then she gets captured. And you remember that woman, that the other sister that she killed last time, that in the flashback, so that she would get the bow instead.
No.
Right. Well, I don't blame you, because I barely remember either. Until it look, I've got to give Lobdell some credit here. He knows people aren't paying attention, so he's reminding you of everything.
Good job, Matt. Good job.
But basically, she's still alive. What a shock. I don't care about that. I did like the Bizarro stuff, though. I'm not going to lie. That stuff was not bad. It starts with the plane that they've taken. So that Bizarro would feel useful, they stole a broken plane and let Bizarro carry it. Which is sweet. Yeah. And then when they all get split up, when it all gets taken down, they land and, crash. But Bizarro lands in this town, and they think he's Superman. And he doesn't really know how to explain that he's not. He's like saying, he's going, he has no idea what's happening. But then these people are just begging him for help, and he does. He says, yeah, sure, I'll come with me to the others. They'll know what to do. And but they're like, oh, but you won't let the general's men hurt us, and he's like, yeah, promise.
It sounds like Lobdell's actually got a pretty good handle on a sort of semi-heroic Bizarro.
He does.
You mean he knows how to write an imperfect Superman? Because I would agree.
Well, yeah, but in this case, it's an imperfect Superman who is endearing because he's trying, and
right.
So,
like I think I've said in the last couple of issues, the Bizarro stuff was the best, and that's continued here. So, if you can just give me a Bizarro book instead, I'd read that.
Yeah, but
that might be half good.
You realise the choice book for you to read to them, and then change to something else you don't like. No one wants to see.
Yeah, no, I know. No
one wants to go to Patreon and pay you to read something you like.
Did you read Heath Corson's Bizarro, Connor?
Was that the mini, the road trip?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
So fantastic.
Yeah. That was a lot.
Was
of fun.
That the DCU one, or is that an older thing?
Yeah.
That's DCU. Cool.
No, I mean, I like Bizarro when he's done well. Like this stuff's actually pretty good with Bizarro. It's fun. It's him being confused and trying to be good, but not really knowing how, because he's still new. So that stuff's not bad, and the art's nice, but all the Red Hood stuff is pretty poor, and the Artemis stuff is utterly atrocious.
Wow.
Which is and it is an Artemis arc, so that's most of the book.
That's a shame. No to our subplots then.
Yeah.
Oh well. So just remind me. So where did we end up here at the end? So just so for reference next time when you're talking about it.
Right. So Bizarro's with this villagers and trying to keep them safe. Jason Todd's in a compound where Joker left him to die, and he thinks that he's there, and he's seeing a version of himself as Robin, like going, "Hey, you're a bit shit at this, ain't you?"
Right. To be fair, at least that Red Hood stuff might build to something. Like maybe it's just slowly building to whatever is going to pay off for it. Yeah.
And Artemis is hanging upside down, tied up over a fire pit, being taunted by that woman that she was supposed to have killed.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Matt, you're so.
No, that Artemis stuff's pretty awful.
I don't get why Matt sounds like he's pissed about it though. He's not having to read it. He should be gleeful.
Yeah, but I'm having to hear about it. I like being willfully ignorant. This backfired on me. Telling people to give Connor Red Hood, and now I have to hear about Red Hood.
Just focus on the pain. Focus on what makes us happy, Matt. Focus on the pain in his face. It's the best part of it. To take joy, take joy in his misery. It's fantastic. I love it. All right, well, I guess that wraps up this week's books. Although Red Hood issue 9 is actually not this week's book. It's like
4 months old. I think 13's next week.
There you go. I was like 4 behind the main book. That's not bad.
Aye, so if a bunch of other people make me read it, I'll be caught up.
Yeah, do it, people. And just pick Red Hood so you can get caught up. And then you can stop paying it, or you can just pick something else after that point. So something else will make him miserable. All right, so I guess that takes us on to our favourites of the week. And do people have them ready? Of course we don't, because we never do. Maybe Matt's locked and loaded. He looks ready. Look at him. He's a prepared man. Look at the eyebrows go. He's ready. That's him thinking about Dick again. So. We always start with the best panel of the week, which I don't know why we start with that, because sometimes that's actually harder than something else.
It is the hardest, isn't it? You should start with something easy like cover.
Sure, but we've set a precedent, so you're starting with panel.
Look, you change the logo, you change the new precedents can be set.
Oh, you didn't have any second example there. Rule of threes. Like you wanted that to be the third thing, but you didn't have a second thing.
Right. You changed the logo. You changed the thumbnail as a whole.
That's weak sauce, Connor. That's weak sauce.
I'm taking it.
Because of that, you're going first. What's your favourite panel of the week?
Balls.
No, we had Dick. We didn't have any balls.
This was a mistake. Joe, I'm going to have to go with something from Batman. I'm torn between two. It's either the Bang Bang or the 2-page spread with the fire. That big massive, where he's carrying the kid out of the fire.
I can see an argument for that.
They're both pretty spectacular.
Matt, what you got for panel?
Mine's from Green Lanterns, and it's Yeah, it's after Janelle gets the ring and she's flying through space, and it's this almost one-page spread, but there's a thing above it. But she has all the Green Lantern symbols around her. Like, it just looks really cool. And her costume I like, and you don't get much of her. She burns too bright, and so yeah, I just love the way that looked.
I'm really tempted to also go for Green Lanterns because I really like the moment where Jessica realizes she's going to take charge and be the trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I love that a lot. However, I'm actually going to go with a stump page from Green Arrow, which is Superman looking up and like a dozen bodies are all falling from the sky at the one time. In fact, that whole sequence with the next page where he is flying up determined and you see him catching them all, that's all great as well.
Yeah.
That shot looking up with the cape kind of flowing around the edge of the page.
It's a fantastic shot.
So I really, really like that. So that's my panel of the week, which I'm amazed because I thought when I read Batman that that Catwoman entrance was going to be the shoe in.
Yeah,
but
it's up there though.
This came and it just sort of nabbed it out from under it. So there you go. I guess that'll take us on to best cover of the week, and we'll see what each of us have got. So Matt, cover of the week.
I can't pick the Superman variant. You know how great it is.
There is some great variants. I mean, that was the best part of that book was the variant from Jimenez because it was a really nice cover.
Yeah.
No.
But no, that's not the rules.
Yeah.
So tough week because none of them really stand out.
Probably just go with. I'll do mine then. I think I'll probably go with Batman, and probably just in the strength of the art and the idea that it's the Joker and the Riddler playing cards.
Yeah.
It's a really fun image. So I'll pick that.
I'll second that. That'll be mine too. So I can't think of
I'm saying I don't really want to pick Batman because I feel like every time I get these covers, I'm picking them. But there's not much competition this week. I don't feel.
Nah, not really. So yeah, that's cover. That'll take us on to best art of the week. Now, Matt, you can go first for this one.
Mine would be Green Arrow. I can't go against that. Ferreyra's art looks great. Superman's nice and crisp, and
that is fair. All that stuff with flying was great.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue. That said, I am going to give it to Batman. And yeah, it's an easy pick when Janin's there, but no, his Catwoman, those double page spreads, the sniper battle, like all of that stuff. It was really helping tell the story with the words. And it wasn't just doing what the words were talking about either. It was doing stuff as the words were talking about other things. So they were both telling their own narratives that were comfortably sitting together, which I really like. It's really impressive when it does that. So that's my pick. Connor.
I'm gonna have to go with Green Arrow. I've missed Ferreyra's art. Plus, I think his use of color is spectacular, and I feel that. Well, Batman's great, obviously. Janin has always been fantastic, but I think Ferreyra just does something with the colors in this issue that makes it stand out.
All right, that's fair. Which I guess leads us to our top 5 books of the week, and yeah, we're back around to Connor going first. So,
God damn it, I hate this. 5.
Start with Red Hood.
I'm just trying to think. I've got to have 5 with Superman not in it. So there's not many books left.
It's basically all of the ones you read. Almost.
I missed one other, including the New God special, I suppose.
Yeah. Which is eligible. There's no reason why that's not.
It is.
Because I would argue that the digital first and the Red Hood shouldn't be eligible just because one's an old book and one's a digital book that's only half the size.
Yeah, I definitely Red Hood. The digital one I could maybe make an argument for, but I'm not that fussed.
All right, quit vamping. Pick something.
I was trying to decide. Sorry. God damn it. Okay, I'll go Batman, Green Arrow, Green Lanterns, Nightwing, Deathstroke.
Cool. Matt?
Weird. That's my same exact order. No joke.
For the record, say it out loud.
Yeah. So I got Batman, Green Arrow, Green Lanterns, Nightwing, Deathstroke. God, it sucks not putting Superman there, but Tomasi, do better. Do better.
Yeah, we got a unanimous pick because I'm going Batman at number 1. Once again, I'm actually going to go a little bit different here. I'm going to say Green Lanterns at number 2, and then Green Arrow. So I mean, it's not that much of a difference. I'm swapping the 2 green books, but I'm digging both of them, obviously. And then Nightwing, then Deathstroke.
It's kind of boring when there's so few books.
That's the problem with week one. Like, it's like, there'll be like 6, maybe 7 books, and you're left with like probably the same 5 in everyone's list, and then it's like, how variable did it get? But next week, luckily, we're all going to have more, because what's coming next week? Now, first things first, Wonder Woman, which is usually out in week 2, has been pushed. That is out in week 3. I've not looked ahead yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if the second issue of the month has also been pushed to week 5. Which would be nice, because week 5 is obviously quite quiet.
Yeah, they do this. They did it with Flash when it got to the bottom,
and it gets it back on schedule, and it's still every second week instead of having 2 back to back. So I can see them doing that to get back on track. I've not actually looked to check yet, but certainly the next issue has been pushed to the following week, which is week 3 of the month. So what is coming next week? We have Action Comics 985, Detective Comics 962, we have The Flash number 28, Supergirl number 12, Titans number 14, we have Mr. Miracle number 1, which is the new Tom King and Mitch Gerard's book, so we're looking forward to checking that out. Was All-Star Batman pushed? Because it sometimes is.
It is, yeah. The last one was late as well, so it might have just moved to whatever week it was permanently.
Pushed it.
Yeah, so none of that. But we do have Batgirl and the Birds of Prey number 13, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps number 26, New Superman 14, Superwoman number 13, and apparently Justice League Power Rangers number 5 is out next week, although we never actually did number 4 on the show for some reason, and it was probably because it was a busy week, but I can't remember. It's been so long because the issue's been delayed so heavily.
Yeah, to the point where this is actually resolicited instead of just classed as a delay.
Oh, fascinating. So that's what's coming next week. It is a busy week, but I'm looking forward to it. So you can expect that next week, so pencil in a long episode. But that's what's coming next week. So with that said, I guess it's time to say the goodbyes. And since I no longer have the Twitters on the screen, I elected to go for a cleaner video presentation, which makes no difference to the audio people anyway. But I thought it'd be nice if I actually, ask Matt, what was your Twitter?
At Matt of Steel 57.
And Connor's is at Connor Ryan 94. I am at Wibble 89. That was
It's fine. Saves me having to think about it.
I did that once. I thought it was funny. I won't do it again. I'm at Wibble 89, of course. We have a dedicated Comics from the Multiverse Twitter now, which I did announce at the end of last week. But I did it after I told everyone that they can leave, because we were going to do the Mr. Oz speculation. So some people might have left and not actually heard the new Twitter. So it's, wait for it, at DC Comics Podcast.
So can't believe it.
So yeah, we got a good Twitter handle for it. So that's the dedicated comics Twitter. There's actual comic stuff tweeted out on that. Of course, we still have the @mailed_fuzz Twitter, which will still post when the episode's posted, and it posts all the other stuff coming out on the YouTube channel. But the dedicated comics one has some more comic-y things happening, and it's a bit more interactive because we'll actually respond to people. I mean, we respond to people in the main Twitter, but we respond in a more personalised way because we're talking about comics on it.
Turns out I had my notification shut off, so if you tried getting at me for a while and I didn't respond, so I didn't know they were there.
So yeah, tweet it the comics Twitter, and I will personally nudge Matt to respond to things. So yeah, check us out on Twitter. You can also support us on Patreon over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. And we did announce last week that we have a new bonus coming monthly for our $5 patrons, which is a Comics from the Multiverse monthly series in which me and Connor, sometimes Matt will jump in as well, but typically it'll be me and Connor, looking at a graphic novel or a collected edition once a month. So it's like a nice bonus on there to give people a reward if they're supporting us on there. But there you go. So that the first one of that's coming up soon. Actually, me and Connor are sort of scheduling that in now. Have I plugged everything? I think that's everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matt just wants to be done. He doesn't care if I have or not. He's like,
no.
That's everything. Shut up. Stop talking. Okay.
You're good. I just had my wife come and interrupt, and I had to yell at her and use timeout, which I don't know why I used timeout, but I did.
Well, so Matt doesn't get into trouble. That is us for this episode. This is episode 63 of Comics from the Multiverse. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. Give us a like, a subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the books in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or SoundCloud or iTunes, on Twitter. Find a way to comment. We'll read them. So thanks, guys. Keep reading comics, and always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.
Connor Kent is real.